As the flames closed in on my childhood friend, he calmly turned his gaze toward where I stood. I knew then, he had been reborn too. At that moment, rows of bullet comments flashed before my eyes. LOL, here comes the simp side character to save the male lead again, after the female supporting character rescues the male lead from his severe 6th-degree burns and gets sent to the countryside. The male lead can then introduce the impoverished female lead to the supporting character's family as a fake heiress, a childhood friends to lovers slow burn. How sweet is that? The female lead just wants a home, you know. The reborn male lead definitely won't let the supporting character have another chance to return and threaten her. Really, what if, in this life, it's the childhood friend who suffers the 6th-degree burns, and not me? 1. The roaring fire crackled and popped, the scorching thick smoke made it hard to breathe. Coco, don't worry about me, run. The familiar scene and sound sent a jolt through my entire body. Am I not dead? I died from the persecution by my childhood friend and the fake heiress, perishing in a once-in-a-century snowstorm. It's okay, even if I die here, it's fine, as long as you live on well. Coco, you are the kindest and most innocent girl I have ever met. I truly wish I could meet you earlier in our next life, so I could protect you. Such deep yet sorrowful words would make anyone hesitate to walk away. In my past life, I was deceived by these very words, but in this life, my heart is colder than one tempered by 16 years of sword practice on the Kunlun Mountains. I looked up and met the gaze of my childhood friend Wen Higuei, whose face was peerlessly handsome, though his expression seemed fearful. His eyes held a calm and composed steadiness. With just that one glance, I knew he had been reborn too. I curled my lip, about to speak, when rows of bullet comments flashed before my eyes. LOL, the obsessive second female lead is about to save the male lead again, after the second female lead saves the male lead from severe burns and gets sent to the countryside. He can introduce the poor female lead to her family as a fake heiress, childhood friends to lovers. How sweet, the precious female lead just wants a home. The reborn male lead definitely won't let the second female lead have another chance to return and threaten her. Oh, how interesting. Not only was I reborn, but I could also see these bizarre bullet comments. This second life just got a whole lot more interesting, too, just like in my past life. I said nervously, Brother Higuei, I won't let you die. A mocking curve touched the corner of Wen Higuei's lips, but just as his smile began to form, I spoke up again. Wait here. I'm going to call the police and get help. Brother Higuei, wait for me. With that, I turned and ran. I ran so frantically that I nearly stumbled and fell. It wasn't to save him in time, but because the fire would spread quickly. The surrounding area was full of dry trees, making it easy for the flames to grow. Even if the great fire in my past life didn't spread to the surroundings, but I wouldn't dare to gamble with it. My life is far too precious. I must stay alive and well until those wretched people are gone. When Higuei only realized I wasn't joking after watching me run a long way off, he began to cry out for help. Help me, Song Jiaoke, hurry, and save me. I'm really going to burn to death. It was only upon hearing this that I stopped in my tracks. A flash of hope lit up his eyes, but when he saw me just standing there with my arms crossed, watching him lazily, he grew genuinely frantic. He began to save himself, rushing toward the perimeter of the fire in a desperate attempt to escape, but this idiot had been showing off for too long. The fire was far more intense than he had imagined. Moreover, to ensure the fire spread more rapidly and burn me to death, he had deliberately sent the nanny away and told the security guards to set off fireworks to keep them from interfering. Well, now he's reaping what he sowed. The barrage exploded. Is this supporting female character insane? Why isn't she saving the male lead? Holy crap, is the male lead this handsome going to be sacrificed as soon as he appears? Definitely not. He's the male lead, the child of fortune. Others might die, but he'll at most get some burns and then get plastic surgery to become even more handsome. That's the standard formula. A faint smirk played on my lips. I don't know who sent these barrage comments, but I know they're all idiots. Wen Higuei can't get plastic surgery because he has a keloid-prone constitution. Besides, the Wen family isn't as powerful as mine. It's impossible, utterly impossible, for him to start a new life. I said it. Not even Jesus could change this. 5 minutes later, a passing neighbor heard cries for help and urgently called the police and an ambulance, watching from a distance as he was lifted onto the stretcher. The fact that the sheet wasn't pulled over his face told me this bastard wasn't going to die that easily. Well, that's a relief. 3. After a night of emergency treatment and surgery, when Higuei regained consciousness, the long legs he had once been so proud of had been amputated, and his peerlessly handsome face was as if it had been ravaged by fire. the air was thick with the smell of burnt flesh, when Higue's parents, standing by his side, were on the verge of collapsing from grief. After all, he was their only son. The moment my parents and I stepped into the hospital room, when Higue's eyes, which had been dulled by pain and despair, suddenly blazed with overwhelming fury as he cried out, "Song Zhaoka, I treated you so well, how could you stand by and watch me die? Do you know my leg was amputated? I'll never walk again, my body is covered in third-degree burns, I'm a cripple now. You could have saved me with just a reach of your hand, why were you so cruel? Why did you have to destroy me? What did I ever do to you? Are you happy now, seeing me like this? Are you satisfied?" The hysterical accusations made you sound like a bitter, scorned woman. Where's the image of the refined, gentle gentleman now? Even in my past life, when I ended up like this, I never lost my composure so completely. I pursed my lips, feigning a pitiful and wronged expression. "Brother Higue, how could you wrong me like this? Everyone knows I listen to you more than anyone. You were the one who started the fire, you poured gasoline in a big circle and said you were going to do a magic trick for me. I thought you were just putting on another show, and you kept insisting I leave, so I figured it was all part of the act. That's why I did as I was told and walked away." Mrs. Wen wiped her tears as she complained, "Leaving was one thing, but you should have called the police. How could you just stand by and watch him get burned like that?" I spread my hands in a gesture of even greater innocence. "I didn't leave, I was just standing to the side." Watching Higuei perform, Mrs. Wen's face turned pale with anger. Just as she was about to point at me, Mr. Wen stopped her and tried to calm her down. "Let it go, what's done is done." It was indeed Higuei who started the fire, and he really was about to leave. She's only 12, so it's natural she thought he was performing a magic trick. My parents had already asked me about this situation on their way over. If you say it's related to me, well, it is. But to insist I'm the one who caused his misfortune is going too far, so my mother chimed in. "We're so sorry about this, it's our fault for always spoiling Kiki. I've already spoken to the hospital director, they're contacting the best doctors in the world to help Higuei with his ongoing treatment. With today's advanced technology, prosthetics are incredibly sophisticated, he'll be back on his feet in no time. Please, don't hesitate to let us know if you need anything at all, ha." In your dreams, in my past life, my parents also spent a fortune trying to get me to walk again, but it was no use. His injuries were too severe, the amputation went right up to the hip, and the damage extended to his manhood. The only way he'd ever have descendants now would be if his wife were unfaithful. Dad gave Uncle Wen a gentle pat on the shoulder and let out a sigh. "I know children are the very heart of a family. I understand completely how you must feel, no matter how tough it gets. Life goes on. Once you've had some time to recover, we'll work on the wind power project together." The approval documents have all come through. Uncle Wen and Aunt Wen's expressions immediately brightened. They had been putting on a show, just waiting for my father to say those very words. After all, their son's ruined state is a fact, and he brought it on himself. Coming after me is pointless. Better to secure a multi-billion-dollar partnership instead. Uncle Wen nodded. "You're right. Life must go on." When Higuei had thought his parents would get justice for him and make me pay dearly, instead, he found they were just using him as a bargaining chip. His face flushed crimson with rage, and he was just about to curse me. I leaned in close and whispered a taunt in his ear. "Brother Higuei, everything I just said was a lie for their benefit. I know it wasn't a magic trick, and I deliberately didn't save you. Don't even dream about a high-tech prosthetic. And that ruined face of yours will stay with you for the rest of your life. I was the one who destroyed you, and this is only the beginning." The impact of those words was devastating, so devastating that only after I hypocritically tucked him in did I finally unleash a torrent of hysterical curses. "Song Zhaoka, you bitch, you monster, Mom, Dad," she just admitted it. "It was all deliberate, she wanted to ruin me. No, she wanted to kill me. Mom, Dad, you have to make her pay. You have to end her." The words were left unfinished. Uncle Wen cut in angrily, his voice sharp with reprimand. "Wen Higuei, haven't you caused enough trouble? You're still trying to frame Zhaoka at this point. I told you not to play with fire, and you even told the security guards it was just fireworks and to ignore it. You brought all of this on yourself. It's a miracle Zhaoka is unharmed, or your life wouldn't be enough to pay for it." When Higuei was so enraged he coughed up blood. Doctors and nurses rushed him to the operating room for emergency treatment. The live chat was absolutely furious too. "Holy crap, the female supporting character has truly lost it. She's completely insane. Did the female supporting character get reborn too? Her moves are ruthless, and her words cut straight to the heart. Poor male lead looks like he's about to be toyed to death by her, honestly. The unhinged female antagonist is kind of thrilling, the male lead wanted her dead anyway. So returning the tables on him is only fair, haha, that's a pretty interesting way to look at it. The corners of my lips curled up. Of course it's interesting, especially compared to the hypocritical, nice guy male lead and the female lead who does nothing but play the delicate, pitiful victim. Villainesses like me are the real fun, cross me and I'll take out two without a second thought. Don't even think about using morality to guilt trip me. A demon clawing its way out of hell has no morals to begin with. 5. The National Wind Power Project is a massive pie, ripe for the taking. It was so tempting that Uncle Wen and Auntie Wen quickly forgot all about Wen Hagui, who was still lying in the hospital, and as the villainess of this story, under the guise of caring for him, I went to the hospital every day to torment and disgust him. I would take the love letters I received and read them aloud to him. I performed my newly learned ballet dance, gracefully twirling in front of him. Dancing alone is so boring, so I brought along a handsome and gentle younger guy to dance with me. From time to time, I'd drag his old rival over for a visit, getting first place in my grade on the secondary school entrance exam. Such good news was shared with him right away. He couldn't take it anymore and complained to Uncle Wen and Auntie, telling them not to let me come. Uncle Wen was furious, scolding him for being utterly ungrateful. He said that despite how busy I was, I still made time to keep him company and even brought friends to play with him, calling him an ungrateful wretch. He ended up getting depressed. Seizing the moment, I said, perhaps the hospital environment isn't ideal, and that's why Brother Hagui isn't recovering well. My family has a villa in the countryside, the scenery is beautiful, the locals are very kind, and the food is all homegrown and incredibly healthy. If we arrange for a doctor and 2 caregivers there, I'm sure his recovery would be much more effective than staying here. Then, we could get Brother Hagui the most advanced prosthetic leg, and he could play basketball again. Uncle Wen nodded without hesitation. Zhaoka really is thoughtful. We are indeed too busy to keep him company. So it was settled. That very afternoon, he was driven to the countryside by the chauffeur. He put up a fight, threw a tantrum, and even threatened to go on a hunger strike. So what? Just bundle him up and throw him in the car. He doesn't even have the strength to resist. The barrage lit up. This supporting female character is such a vicious woman. She's so ruthless. Poor male lead, to be ruined like this. This plot feels so familiar. Is the female lead's rival planning to do everything the male lead did to her, right back at him? Who says the rival character has to just wait to die? This kind of revenge arc is seriously satisfying. What if the rival character gets fed up with the male lead and picks out a cute young guy to groom into her own loyal puppy? Now that's a vibe. Could anyone really be more handsome than the male lead? He's supposed to be the most handsome, after all. But honestly, the main villain, Lin Mo, seems to be on par with him. The catch is, Lin Mo's looks are matched only by his ruthlessness. He's completely cut off from love and emotion. If the supporting female character teams up with the ultimate villain, the end of the world is practically guaranteed. 6. Lin Mo. I never heard a single thing about him in my past life. That's right, in my past life. That bitch Wen Hagui fed me neurotoxic drugs that drove me completely insane. It took over half a year of persuasion to finally get my parents to agree to send me to the countryside for recuperation. To make my parents forget me entirely, he even brought a fake heiress into the house to take my place, and mixed pig feed into my food until I became as fat as a hog. The nanny assigned to care for me, acting on his orders, subjected me to all kinds of abuse. I died on my 16th birthday. During a once-in-a-century snowstorm, my parents were on their way to celebrate with me, but their car broke down halfway. When Hagui and the fake heiress arrived first, they dragged me out of the house in my pajamas and forced me to crawl on all fours like a dog to find my parents. The wind was biting, the snow was swirling, but none of it compared to the agony of their humiliation and torment. You fat pig, didn't you want to see your aunt and uncle? Then hurry up and crawl. Gui gui, your sister smells disgusting. It's so gross. When Hagui took the leather whip and lashed it hard against my body, you hear me, you fat pig, crawl faster for me, your stench is bothering Ro. Take a good look in the mirror. Do you really think someone like you is worthy of me? And you still have the nerve to insist on marrying me? You were the one who rushed into the fire to save me. I told you to leave, but you idiot just wouldn't listen. You had to go in and rescue me. But that was all a trap I set up. I wanted you dead. It's your own fault for being a girl yet having parents who dote on you so much. I'm a boy and clearly smarter, yet mom and dad have never once praised me. It's not fair, it's just not fair. So, it's better if you're gone. all for such a ridiculous reason. I was tortured and abused to death by them. I was so close to seeing my parents again, so close to surviving. If this world is so unjust to good people, why should I show it any mercy? To hell with all of you. It was easy to convince Uncle Wen and Aunt Wen to adopt a little boy. All it took was tearfully saying I missed Hague. I'd say I was bullied by some thugs on the street, and a boy who looked just like Hague saved me. Then I'd act all admiring and infatuated. They would then volunteer to adopt Lin Mo. After all, their long-standing wish has been to form a marriage alliance with our family, making it easier to inherit everything when the line ends. The real challenge, however, is convincing Lin Mo to leave his kind adoptive parents and come with me. He raised an eyebrow and scoffed. Am I crazy? I finally found kind, gentle parents who want to adopt me. Why on earth would I go with you? Money. Over the years, plenty of wealthy people have wanted to adopt me. I never went with them, and you're just some kid. Don't bother me anymore. I'm not going with you. 7. So, right in front of him, I handed his prospective adoptive parents a suitcase containing 500,000. I smiled and said, Uncle, Auntie, please give up on adopting brother Lin Mo. I just lost my own brother, and he looks so much like him. I want to take him home. With this money, you can improve your own lives or adopt another child. Please believe me, I can absolutely provide brother Lin Mo with a better living environment. No adult would ever refuse, a kind-hearted person would think. I can give him a better life and future, a selfish person would think. With this 500,000, what child couldn't I adopt? I could even pursue IVF. Lin Mo watched helplessly as his adoptive parents walked away with the money, his eyes bloodshot. He grabbed my collar and demanded, What do you think you're doing? Don't think for a second I'm going with you. Plenty of people want to adopt me. A smile played on my lips, and my eyes crinkled at the corners. Don't worry. I have plenty of money and time to spare for you. He's just a 14-year-old boy now, not nearly as malicious as the barrage of comments made him out to be. He said through gritted teeth, Aren't you afraid I'll get my revenge? That I'll turn your whole world upside down? The first 2 families that took me in, one died in a car crash, the other in a house fire. Wiped out, every last one. My smile grew even brighter. I know. And I know you were behind it all. The first family that adopted you had twins. They beat you every day and locked you in the dog pen. You were the one who tampered with the car's brakes. The man of the second household was a pervert. He tried to assault you and treated you like property. You burned it all to the ground. He let go of my collar, his expression icy and conflicted. You knew all along. Casually straightened out the clothes. Of course, you were just protecting yourself, compared to me, who had to watch my childhood friend suffer 6th-degree burns in a fire and lose both legs at the hip. You're still quite kind. Believe me, we're the same kind of people. We make perfectly good demons. No need to try being human. If you ever decide to destroy the world, I'll be the one to light the match. Lin Mo took a few steps back. You're insane, a complete lunatic. I took 2 steps forward, lifted my foot to tilt his chin up, and smiled with a radiant, genuine warmth. I'll send someone to pick you up this afternoon. Behave yourself, or there's more than one Lin Mo in this world, understand? 8. The barrage lights up. Holy crap, is the female supporting character on a rampage? She actually took down the biggest villain with just a few words. This female supporting character seems even more unhinged. I have zero doubt about her determination to destroy the world. I thought Lin Mo, that absolute lunatic, was unstoppable. Turns out the female supporting character just died too early. Ha ha ha. The big bad villain is completely wrapped around the female supporting character's finger. It's kind of adorable, actually. Are you out of your mind? That's Lin Mo. After his adoptive parents were beaten to death by the demolition crew, he went completely dark. He didn't just take out all 32 members of that crew. He brought down the entire listed corporation and every corrupt official in cahoots with them. Over 100 officials at the provincial level got official reprimands because of him. I'm saying Lin Mo was easier to handle than I imagined, so it's because he hadn't turned yet. I got lucky and caught him at the right time, but he's rotten to the core. No matter how good he seems, there's a limit to how much he can change. 3 days later, Lin Mo was successfully adopted by the Wen family. He was given the new name Wen Qingxiu. The name carries the meaning of being a man of his word and a true gentleman. I was the one who gave him that name. Everyone thought it was a blessing, a hopeful wish for his future. In truth, it was pure mockery. All that talk of his word being his bond and his righteous integrity, utterly laughable. He must have understood the jab, because the look he gives me is always so complicated. How could my childhood friend, Wen Hegui, not know about such momentous, joyous news? I deliberately picked a sunny day to take Wen Qingshu to the countryside to find him. It was a scorching summer afternoon, the hottest time at 2 o'clock. A wave of heat hit us the moment we opened the car door, and there he was, sitting in the yard, basking in the sun. There he was, with his sun-darkened skin, those hideous scars, and the unmistakable puffiness of a childhood friend who'd clearly been gorging on pig feed. He was even more repulsive than I had been in my past life, at least back then. My parents would call me from time to time, so the nanny didn't dare go too far. When he saw me, he angrily tried to get up from his chair to hit me. He ended up falling flat on the floor, howling in pain from the burn. I smiled and said, "Brother Hague, you're too kind. You don't need to perform such a grand ceremony when it's not even a holiday." With that, he put his arm around Wen Qingshu, who was holding an umbrella for me, and introduced him. "Brother Hague, let me introduce you. This is Wen Qingshu, your younger brother, and my new childhood friend." Then, turning to Wen Qingshu, he said, "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and greet your senior. If you don't behave, you'll end up just like him." Wen Qingshu silently gulped. "Hey, bro." The barrage of comments went absolutely wild. "Ha ha ha, I'm dying." The main villain was completely stunned by the female supporting character's methods. Greeting the senior like that is absolutely brilliant. The female supporting character is hilarious. Poor male lead. He should have been the celebrated and envied business prodigy of the century, a once-in-a-hundred-years talent like Wen Hague. Instead, he's now like a pig, filthy and stinking, utterly ruined. I've noticed the female supporting character's favorite tactic is to destroy both the person and their spirit. The villain beside her is trembling in fear right now. 9. I glanced at Wen Qingshu beside me. He wasn't trembling in fear at all. It was just the sweltering heat that had beads of sweat forming on his forehead. The veins on his hand gripping the parasol stood out, but that was only because he was afraid the wind would snatch it away. I have to admit, his looks are truly top tier, especially when contrasted with my childhood friend who's wailing and cursing at me from the ground. He's absolutely god-tier handsome. My childhood friend was so furious with me that he crawled over from the ground, trying to grab my leg. The moment it touched my leg, I kicked it straight out 2 meters. Its agonized shriek echoed through the entire villa. However, for the sake of peace and quiet, I had deliberately chosen a rather remote location. There were simply no neighbors around. The nanny, who had been napping, was jolted awake by its cry. She immediately cursed, "You damned beast, if you keep howling, I'll finish you off." So, my childhood friend shut up right then and there. See, I'm just too kind and gentle. My words don't carry as much weight as the nanny's. High school life was really fun, watching Wen Qingshu strut like a peacock, being all gentle and chivalrous to the children of the powerful elite. He's trying to build his own network and influence to rival me, or perhaps to break free from my control, while he basks in the limelight. I used the cheat code of my past life's memories to propel my parents' business straight to the top of the industry. That wasn't enough, I pushed it right to the very pinnacle of the domestic pyramid. All the connections and resources he spent years cultivating have to respectfully call me Sis-ku in my presence. Refusing to accept defeat, he started his own business. With the help of the bullet comments, even though I didn't know the plot, I could still figure out what he was up to. So when he started the venture, I offered to invest. He was reluctant at first, so whenever success was within reach, I'd sabotage it and then swoop in for the acquisition. Refusing to accept defeat, he tried several more times. It wasn't until the losses piled up and both Uncle Wen and his business partner voiced their objections that he finally backed down. Now, he stands a full head taller than me, looking down at me from his superior height. "Song Zhaoka, is this really necessary?" I beckoned with a finger and said with a smile, "I don't like it when people stand taller than me, so." After a moment's hesitation, he bent down. I curled my lips into a faint smile. "Still not enough, Neil." His face turned ashen. "Don't you dare go too far, you." Before he could finish, I grabbed his chin, forcing him to speak to me in an excruciatingly uncomfortable position. "What exactly have I done that's too far? You were the one who chose to follow me back then. If it weren't for me all these years, do you really think you'd have the right to be standing here? Have I been too lenient with you? Have you forgotten who's in charge?" 10. That was harsh to say, but I was truly furious, because I thought he was a real villain, the type who'd kill or destroy the world on a whim. After spending these years with me, surrounded by this cheap affection, he's completely turned over a new leaf. He even tags along with my parents to do charity work all the time. I'm deeply dissatisfied. He licked the blood from the corner of his mouth, his expression inscrutable as he spoke. "I understand." The barrage went absolutely wild. Friendly reminder, you can breathe. The supporting female lead has truly lost it. Why on earth is she trying to drive the villain over the edge? Her parents worked so hard to bring him back from the brink. Isn't she afraid he'll snap and come for her first? She's gonna get herself killed at this rate. I think the supporting female lead is playing a long game. The villain is just a pawn in her pocket. A mere plaything, right? The female supporting character seems to be training him like a dog. Abuse breeds loyalty, love breeds freedom. The corner of my mouth lifted. So there are some clever people in the barrage comments after all. The fake heiress, Zhou Runing, has finally shown up. As the female lead, she's stacked with every advantage, a scholarship student, stunning looks, and a sweet, coquettish voice. On her very first day at the new school, she drew a crowd of students who came just to gawk. She's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, but in the eyes of the wealthy, beauty is never a scarce resource. Before I could even make a move, she took the initiative to approach Wen Qingxiu, looking up at him with her big, watery eyes. Classmate Wen Qingxiu, I skipped breakfast and I'm feeling a bit faint. Do you have any food? Could you spare some? Wen Qingxiu let out a derisive snort. So many other students in the class have food on their desks. Why did you have to come to me? She was taken aback for a moment. He was clearly using this excuse to strike up a connection for the first time and was caught off guard by the counter question. I only started feeling hypoglycemic when I walked over to you. Did I cause you any trouble? I'm sorry. Wen Qingxiu let out a cold, mocking laugh. Your seat is in the first row, mine's in the third. If you want water, the easiest way is to go past the teacher's desk to the fourth row. Even if you were throwing out trash, your path wouldn't take you by me. Then may I ask, why exactly did you pass by my seat? All the other students have food on their desks. My desk doesn't even have a bottle of water. Besides, boys generally don't buy snacks, right? The classroom erupted in jeering laughter. Someone else chimed in. Our brother Wen's charm is just too much. Even the transfer student fell for you at first sight. Wen Qingxiu let out a disdainful snort. Don't let trash like that dirty my eyes. Zhou Songning's tears fell in an instant, and she ran out, hurt and aggrieved. Any teenage girl would be utterly devastated to be humiliated like that by a boy she liked. 11. The screen was flooded with bullet comments. The villain absolutely despises this kind of fake, delicate white lotus. She's the spitting image of his first foster mother. I used to really like the female lead, thought she was so cute and adorable, but in the face of domineering presence and unhinged intensity, being cute and acting all-mo is completely useless. Okay, the villain has incredible emotional control. The reason he's being so vicious is actually half because of the supporting female character. Ever since the female lead transferred in, the supporting character has been glaring daggers at her, her nails practically digging into her own palms. The villain is basically getting revenge on her behalf. The supporting female character abused the villain so much. Why is he helping her? Shouldn't he hate her? The person above is clearly a lifelong single. A villain is rotten to the core, so they're only attracted to someone even worse than themselves. Don't just see the female antagonist as evil, she's also genuinely stunning and completely unhinged. She slaps him at the drop of a hat, and have you ever seen him fight back? Exactly, he probably even enjoyed it. Wen Qingxiu really didn't have to be that much of a freak. Zhou Runing was being bullied at school. Part of the reason was that she had crossed Wen Qingxiu. At least 2/3 of the girls in school had a crush on him, and the remaining third were just fooled by his top student halo. The other part of the reason was that she had crossed me, because I said with disdain, she smells awful. It's disgusting. Exactly the same words she used to humiliate me in my past life, only back then, I was out in the heavy snow, while she was in an unfamiliar classroom. The school had plenty of influential figures, but I was the top dog in the first tier. There aren't that many truly kind people in the world. Not only would they not stand up for her after she offended me, but they'd even bully her to try and win my favor. Things like locking her in the bathroom, putting mice in her backpack, or filling her desk with trash. Walking through school, she'd be pointed at and whispered about by everyone. In the cafeteria, the seats around her would be completely empty, compared to what she did to me in my past life. This is still nowhere near enough. At my suggestion, the bullying escalated from verbal humiliation to physical abuse. Every day after school, hearing the sound of her kowtowing and apologizing in the restroom made me feel particularly good. When Qingxiu asked me curiously, why not just finish her off? What's the point of this? I casually took the handkerchief he offered and wiped my fingers clean. Of course it's interesting. That's how cats play with mice they've caught. Now I'm bored with this game. Find a few thugs to rough him up. Just don't kill him. I still have a use for him. He's very clever. is this left for me, your senpai? I let out a light laugh and praised, right, don't you think they're a perfect match? When Qingshu's expression was complicated, will you treat me like this in the future? The corners of my mouth lifted, my eyes curved into crescents, looking adorable and innocent. If you wish, I can oblige. He shook his head, I don't want it. I smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Be a good girl, and I'll pluck the stars from the sky for you. If you don't behave, you'll end up just like him. He didn't say a word, only swallowing hard, but it was clear from his obedient expression. He'll be very obedient. 12. When Qingshu truly lives up to being the little troublemaker I handpicked, that very night, he arranged for the local toughs to stage a heroic rescue. Surprisingly, they treated her with a chivalrous and considerate demeanor, especially after the leader of the group, the blonde guy, took her for a spin on his high-end motorcycle, cruising around like he was surveying his territory. She was the one who proactively sent him a friend request. They say nice guys finish last. A bad boy like that blonde troublemaker is far more exciting than some boring bookworm, and ever since she started dating the blonde guy, the other kids at school stopped picking on her. She actually believed that Blondie was the illegitimate son of some big shot, wielding immense power. She was utterly, hopelessly devoted to him. It didn't matter if he slept with other women right in front of her, or even if he let his other blonde-haired friends have their way with her. Morals, self-respect, self-love, none of it meant a damn thing to her compared to a single finger of his. In my past life, I died for trash like that. Absolutely ridiculous. Getting Zhou Runing to seduce her childhood friend would be even easier. First, get the punk hooked on gambling, deep in debt to loan sharks, and then have him steal her identity to borrow 300,000. That's not the punk's limit. It's the limit of what her ID card could get. No sooner had the punk fled than she was snatched up by the loan sharks. She was left with only two grim options: sell herself as a prostitute, or scam a rich second-generation heir, and they'd even picked out the mark for her. She stared at her childhood friend, whose face was hideous and whose body was as fat as a pig's. She immediately threw up. In the end, she decided to seduce her childhood sweetheart. Her method was simple. She pretended to be the daughter of the nanny who had cared for him in the countryside. As the female lead, she was naturally beautiful. Compared to the local women in the village, she looked like an absolute goddess. To win her over, he went all out, gifting her dresses worth thousands and handbags costing over 10,000 yuan. He finally managed to get a smile out of Zhou Runing. But Zhou Runing flat out refused to sleep with him, insisting they wait until after marriage and demanding a 5 million yuan bride price. Her real goal was to scrape together the 800,000 yuan needed to pay off the compounding loan shark debt, then vanish. To her surprise, her childhood sweetheart took it seriously and started calling Uncle Wen and Aunt Wen to ask for the money back. They were initially against it, wanting him to stay in the countryside, I said, blinking my big eyes. The doctor says he's almost fully recovered out there in the country, so we should let him come home. I've already arranged for a prosthetist. We'll have a custom prosthetic made for him. When we were kids, I was too young and foolish to save him. Now, I need to make things right. Aunt Wen sighed with emotion. Zhaoka, you're such a good kid. Even after all this, you still remember Hegui. Alright, we'll listen to you and let him come back. But if he's still immature and bullies you again, he'll have us to answer to. The corners of my mouth turned up in a smile. No matter how brother Hegui treats me, I will never be angry with him. When Qingshu silently took a step back, he knows, the sweeter my smile, the more ruthless my actions. 13. The barrage chat is getting lively. Wow, the male lead is finally rushing to his doom. I used to worry the female supporting character would kill the male lead. Now I'm worried she won't kill him. What is the male lead compared to the villain? He's just extra. Exactly. I'm shipping the female supporting character and the villain. They're just too good together. Two unhinged characters are so thrilling. Doesn't anyone feel sorry for the female lead? She was such a pure, innocent flower, but she's been utterly ruined and left in tatters. Hee. Well, everyone's a villain anyway. The supporting female character is the most unhinged, turning even the main antagonist into an obedient puppy. It's great. I love it. Keep it coming. Tell me about it. I originally planned to let Wen Qingshu come back after we finished the college entrance exams. Well, he came back on his own accord. What else was I supposed to do? Of course, I had to let him have his way. When Hegui stepped out of the luxury car with Zhou Runing, he was so fat he couldn't even fit in a regular wheelchair. They had to bring him into the villa on a stretcher. Zhou Runing stared at the incredibly luxurious villa, her eyes wide with awe. She introduced herself excitedly. Hello, uncle, auntie, I'm Higui's girlfriend, Zhou Runing. Please, just call me Ningning. Uncle and aunt Wen were simply grateful that anyone would take an interest in their son. They nodded immediately and said, alright, you can stay here and look after Higui from now on. Let me introduce you, this is Song Zhaoka, and this is Wen Qingxiu. The mere mention of my name sent Wen Higui into a frenzy. His eyes bloodshot, he roared in fury, you bitch. You're not welcome in this house, get the hell out. Mom, Dad, you have no idea how she's been torturing me all this time. She's a lunatic, a complete psycho. Before I could finish, Uncle Wen cut me off. Enough, if it weren't for Zhaoka pleading on your behalf, you wouldn't even be standing here. If we ever hear you speak ill of her again, there will be consequences. Furthermore, Qingxiu is your brother. The company will be his to inherit. But we will set up a trust and properties for you, enough to last several lifetimes. When Higui disagreed and was about to argue, but Zhou Ru quickly nodded in agreement. Understood, uncle and auntie. This is more than enough for Higui. He really can't go out to work anyway. Auntie Wen was quite pleased with her. You're such a sensible young lady. If you're willing to marry Higui, we'll offer a dowry of 5 million. A 50 million villa in the city center, a few sports cars for you both. And we'll arrange for drivers and housekeepers. Everything will be taken care of, Zhou Runing said excitedly. Thank you, auntie, don't worry. I promise I'll take good care of Higui. 14. A faint smile touched my lips as I let out a soft chuckle. Heh. Aunt Wen then turned to look at me and asked, Zhaoka, do you have something in mind? I'll go along with whatever you think. Zhou Runing was so terrified that cold sweat instantly beaded on her forehead. If her parents hadn't been present, she probably would have dropped to her knees to beg me, my childhood friend, fearing I would stop their wedding, shot me a venomous glare. Song Zhaoka, if you dare stand in the way of my marriage to Ruru, I'll haunt you from beyond the grave. The corners of my mouth lifted in a bright, beaming smile. How could I be? I'm over the moon for you both. I hear the end of the month is an auspicious date. Why not get married a little sooner? It would set your parents' minds at ease. The suggestion was right up their alley, and they agreed on the spot. When Qingxiu came to see me tonight, using studying as an excuse, he was actually just being nosy and asked me, are you planning to pull a big stunt at their wedding? I kept working on the problem, not even looking up. Right, bring all those punks over then, and project the video of their little orgy on the big screen. Oh, and get his prosthetic arm ready in advance. Wouldn't want him to have trouble swinging it when the time comes. Watch your strength, don't kill him yet. We're not done having our fun. When Qingxiu finally asked the question he had long been curious about, why do you hate the two of them so much? They both contracted a severe sexually transmitted disease. Moreover, when Higui has been taking hallucinogenic drugs long term, even if they struggle on, they won't last another 2 years. Only then did I lift my head. Looking at him as a light chuckle escaped my lips, because I have the ability to foresee both the future and the past. In the past, they hurt me, so I repaid them tenfold, 100-fold. His first reaction wasn't to argue with me. Instead, he moved closer, staring straight at me. What about the future? What will become of us? I pinched his chin and let out a scornful laugh. You'll be my loyal and devoted dog. And I will become the richest woman alive. I will change history. The barrage lights up. The supporting female character has truly lost it. How dare she call the villain a dog? Is he going to kill her? The villain is having the time of his life. Okay, he's a total psycho. Please don't measure him by normal people's standards. The supporting female character is just too good at this. Please start a masterclass. Future female supporting characters can add to their resume. Level 10 Dog Tamer. A faint smirk played on my lips. He was clearly enjoying himself. Even licking the corner of his mouth, the sick, possessive desire in his eyes was practically overflowing. 15. When Higui and Zhou Runing's wedding was a very low-key affair, they just set up a single table at the villa, inviting only my parents and me, just the two families sharing a meal. However, Zhou Runing's custom-made wedding gown was stunning. The crown on her head and the massive diamond necklace around her neck must have cost at least several million. Money's no object. As long as she's happy, that's all that matters. When Higui wore a prosthetic limb, which felt a bit awkward, but once he put on the suit, he still looked presentable. He knelt on one knee, holding the ring, overwhelmed with emotion. Tears and sniffles all at once. Ningning, I love you. You are my angel. My hope, and my salvation. I swear to love you for a lifetime and never betray you. Will you marry me? What a deeply moving declaration. Zhou Runing smiled beautifully, a flicker of disgust passing through her eyes. I do. And right at that moment, A scene straight out of a TV drama unfolded. The punk barged in with a gang of his buddies. I object. Ruining. I won't allow you to marry him. You've had 5 abortions for me. You've long been my woman. I know you're only with him to pay off the loan sharks, but I've cleared the debt now. Come away with me. I promise I'll never let you suffer again. Zhou Runing felt a flicker of temptation, but glancing at the 13-carat diamond ring on her finger, she shook her head and refused. I don't love you anymore. Please don't interfere with my marriage to my husband. The blonde-haired man spat a thick glob of phlegm and cursed. Damn it. I knew you were a vain bitch, in this lifetime. You're not marrying anyone but me. As he spoke, he looked at Wen Higuei with a cold sneer. Ugly bastard, how do my worn-out shoes feel on your feet? Let me show you something else. If you still want to marry her after this, I'll respect you as a real man. With a snap of his fingers, the electronic screen that had been displaying their wedding photo switched to a video of Zhou Runing partying with a group of his buddies. That was all child's play. Running a train is what makes it thrilling. Even more thrilling were the filthy things she said, utterly obscene. When Higuei's eyes immediately turned bloodshot, and he lunged forward to slap Zhou Runing twice. He cursed loudly, you filthy whore, you slut, you piece of trash, and you said it was an STD from staying in a dirty place before. Turns out you've been completely used up and ruined. I'm going to beat you to death today. The blows were especially vicious. Uncle Wen and Aunt Wen took several steps back, showing no intention of stepping in to intervene. Seeing this, the thugs with dyed hair rushed forward, grabbed Wen Higuei, and began beating him viciously. They went for the kill, targeting every vulnerable spot. After all, these hired hands knew better than to leave no survivors. After crippling them, they left with a parting remark, forget it, I don't even want this piece of junk anymore. With that, he swaggered off. Only then did they call for an ambulance. 16. After 3 hours of emergency treatment, they both survived. Wen Higuei suffered a broken spine, compound fractures in both hands, and was left with only his eyes able to move. Zhou Runing was no better off, with a ruptured kidney, 8 broken ribs, and both legs rendered useless, leaving him paralyzed for the rest of his life. After hearing what the doctor said, Uncle Wen and Aunt Wen were quite disappointed. How are you still alive after losing so much blood and being this badly injured? So when I mentioned that our family had just opened a high-end convalescent home, they volunteered to send the 2 of them there. The sanatorium built specifically for the 2 of them finally served its purpose. They were locked in the same ward, receiving only 1 meal a day, which Zhou Runing always ended up eating. After all, with Wen Higuei having lost his limbs, how could he possibly eat? The food was laced with madness-inducing drugs, supplemented by daily electroconvulsive therapy. Half a month later, Zhou Runing, either driven mad or truly starving, gouged out Wen Higuei's eyes and ate them. This horrific scene was witnessed by Wen Qingxiu, who had come with me to watch the spectacle. His face turned deathly pale, and he looked ready to vomit. I kept a smile on my face, not even blinking, afraid to miss a single second, so he ran outside and threw up messily. I followed slowly behind him, gently patting his back. The voice was gentle and caring. Hush, don't be afraid. This won't happen if you just behave. Will you be good? His face was deathly pale, his whole body trembling. He said in a hoarse voice, I'll be good. Satisfied, I held him in my arms and gently patted his back. He nestled obediently against me, a slight smile playing on his lips. The barrage of comments lit up frantically. Holy shit, the villain is smiling. He was acting. The true hunter often appears in the guise of the prey. I'm absolutely obsessed with this unhinged pair. So crazy. I love it. Check the details. There's a mirror behind the villain. The female supporting character saw his expression all along, but pretended not to notice. The more you think about it, the more terrifying it is. Even at a glance, it's unsettling. Story 2. I married my childhood sweetheart as I'd always dreamed, and we treated each other with mutual respect, until he heard about the death of the school beauty at the reunion. Only then did I realize he'd been harboring an intense hatred for me all along. He said if I hadn't found his exam admission ticket, they wouldn't have missed their chance, and she wouldn't have died. Drunk with rage, he beat me into the ICU. When I opened my eyes again, I'd traveled back to the day before the exam, spotted his exam admission ticket tossed in the corner, ripped it to shreds and dumped it in the trash. 1. The school forum went wild the night the exemption exams ended. A post titled Top Student Ji Zhoubai Gives Up Peking University for Love, makes high-profile relationship announcement racked up thousands of comments within half an hour. The post featured a photo of Ji Zhoubai holding roses while proposing on one knee. So romantic. That's our academic genius for you, casually ditching Peking University for love, such reckless romance. I'm here for it. Wait. Isn't his girlfriend Ran from class 3? She looks totally different. OMG, it's not Ran. They've been topping the grade rankings together for years. I always thought they were a couple. That's Su Xin, the scholarship student who just transferred to class 3. It was their post, but somehow I became the main topic in the comments. Everyone's wondering why Ji Zhoubai would rather give up his guaranteed admission to Peking University than stay with me. The answer keeps echoing in my ears. If you hadn't meddled back then, I wouldn't have broken up with her. She wouldn't have been sold off by her father to that abusive bastard. She'd still be alive. Why did you have to give my exam permit to my mother? Why? Do you finally understand her pain now? You killed her. I lost count of how many times he demanded why, but with each question, he'd slam my head against the wall. By the time I reached the ICU, my skull had been shattered. Who could have imagined my death would come down to nothing more than an exam admission ticket? In his past life, Ji Zhoubai deliberately lost his exam admission ticket to be with Su Xin, hoping his parents would give in. Unfortunately, I was the one who found it. His parents forced Ji Zhoubai into the exam hall, where he aced the test and secured direct admission to Peking University, believing he'd broken their promise. Su Xin left with her father for their hometown, and the two never met again. Mrs. Ji thanked me for my help in bringing the two of us together. The year I earned my Ph.D., Ji Zhoubai and I got married, treating each other with mutual respect. Following his mother's advice, I quit my job to become a full-time homemaker. He remained faithful throughout, never once straying. Everything seemed perfectly normal until that class reunion. Ji Zhoubai heard the news that Su Xin had been beaten to death by her husband. He said I was responsible for Su Xin's death, and vowed to make me suffer the same abuse she endured, but I never even knew they had been together. Anran, don't blame me, you brought this upon yourself. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing outside the exam hall holding Ji Zhoubai's admission ticket. Turning around, I saw that carefree figure in the distance, hands stuffed in pockets. I tore his admission ticket to shreds and tossed it into the trash. This time, I'll let you have your way. On the school forum, more and more people were tagging Ji Zhoubai, demanding he personally address their questions. Weren't you dating Ran? Why did you confess to Su Xin? Are you two timing them? At midnight, he came online. Ji Zhoubai, I was never in a relationship with Ran. It was all her unrequited feelings. I hope everyone can bless me and Xin. Unrequited feelings, huh? But I never loved you either. 2. I've known Ji Zhoubai since we were 7, all the way through high school. He's always been a straight-A student since childhood, knowing way more than me, and constantly teasing me for being dumb. We even got into fights over it, and of course I always ended up losing. When his parents brought him over to apologize, I stubbornly refused and challenged him to get me into Tsinghua or Peking University if he was so smart. From that day on, he became my personal tutor. We spent countless days and nights buried in the library, grinding through practice problems till the wee hours. We've watched the sunrise at 4 a.m. together, and admired the bright midnight moon at 12. When I entered sophomore year, I struggled to keep up with coursework and doubted I had what it took for Tsinghua or Peking University. He gently stroked my hair with a confident smile. With me here, how could you possibly fail? If you don't believe in yourself, at least believe in me. I laughed too. Laughing at his show-off act, our relationship was less like lovers and more like comrades in arms. Comrades may go through life and death together, but love never blossoms between them. In our senior year of high school, a transfer student joined our class, Su Xin, with her tattered backpack and deer-like evasive eyes, so innocent and pitiful, fluttered into Ji Zhoubai's heart like a broken yet beautiful butterfly, leaving no trace. She would steal glances at Ji Zhoubai, only to quickly avert her gaze like a guilty child when caught. Whenever Ji Zhoubai drew near, she'd bow her head to hide her flushed cheeks. She'd secretly slip anonymous notes into Ji Zhoubai's pencil case, scribbling, "This unworthy soul adores you from afar." In the cutthroat world of senior year where grades defined worth, her academic struggles and poverty made her an outcast among peers. Back then, college entrance exams consumed me. I never even noticed her existence. I assumed Ji Zhoubai shared my indifference, until witnessing him pummeling the school bully after class to defend Su Xin. That was the first time I saw him so frenzied, completely out of his mind. Back then, I thought he was just being chivalrous. It never crossed my mind that there was more to it. Only in death did I realize, he loved her strength, he loved her fragility, but never me, the wife who fought by his side through it all. Just as I was about to log off the forum, Ji Zhoubai sent me a private message. This is your second chance. I hope you won't come between me and Xinxin again. Second chance. Could he have been reborn too? I cautiously brought up a few topics about the future and received confirming responses. After confirming we'd both been reborn, I couldn't help asking him again, if you hated me so much, why did you marry me? After a long silence, he finally answered, just following our parents' wishes. Anran, I wronged you in our past life. This time around, I hope you won't interfere with my love again. Something heavy settled in my chest like a layer of dust. After a long silence, I simply replied, fine. What I got in return was a glaring red exclamation mark. 3. Ji Zhoubai's response turned me into a pathetic fool chasing after him. The whole internet was celebrating their relationship while mocking my unrequited love. That afternoon after school, Su Xian came to find me. She spoke timidly, her eyes slightly reddened. Anran. I'm so sorry, I had no idea about your relationship with Zhoubai. I never meant to come between you two. She desperately tried to convince me of her innocence. After a long pause, she bit her lower lip. If you have feelings for him too, I can step aside. A voice trembling with tears, sounding as pitiful as a child who'd just had their candy stolen. But by saying this, she's essentially putting me on a pedestal for everyone to scorn. If Ji Zhoubai were here, he'd wipe the tears from her eyes and say tenderly, silly girl, how can you say such things without feeling guilty? But I'm not Ji Zhoubai. I don't comfort others, nor do I need comforting myself. What I need is a direction. Even if the guide ahead has left, I'll press forward alone without hesitation. Su Xian's tears didn't touch my heart. They landed in the hearts of those boys watching the drama behind me. They critiqued my retreating figure like judges at a royal consort selection. I'd pick Su Xian too. Who doesn't love a ditzy beauty? Women shouldn't be too smart. No man dares to date an overly clever woman. Even the valedictorian can't handle one. A high-achieving woman like her will probably struggle to find a husband. Sweet girls like Su Xian are way more appealing. A faint blush crept across Su Xian's delicate face. I turned my head, gazing indifferently at the rumors, and smiled. Is it possible that not every woman needs a man to validate her worth? With the experiences of my past life, I realized my value wasn't tied to Ji Zhoubai. Marriage isn't the only path for women. Our journey can lead to careers, mountaintops, or tranquil waters. After all, majestic mountains and crystal waters know no gender. Realizing they couldn't get the upper hand with me, those boys muttered, "You're something else," before slinking away awkwardly. When I turned back, I already had the answer to Suxin's question. I don't like Ji Zhoubai. I just had the misfortune of growing up with him as childhood friends. That's the only connection between us, so rest assured, I won't compete with you for him. Su Xian seemed unconvinced, blinking her tear-glazed eyes as she asked, "Really?" I replied with a playful smile, "Guess. I've followed Ji Zhoubai my entire life. And since he's chosen to stop, it's time I became my own son in this life." 4. When I got home, I heard the mother and son next door arguing. When Ji Zhoubai's mother found out he skipped the exam, she hit the roof. Others would kill to get into Peking University, yet you threw away your chance. What on earth were you thinking? With your grades, getting recommended admission is a sure thing. Why wouldn't you take the exam? More than just recommended admission, in his past life, Ji Zhoubai went straight from Peking University to a PhD program and was headhunted by a Fortune 500 company before graduation with an 8-figure salary. Ji Zhoubai didn't offer a single word of explanation, adamantly refusing all advice. His mother's fury was like shouting into the void. She was fuming while he remained completely indifferent. Seeing me was like clutching at a life-saving straw. Ran. Perfect timing. Talk some sense into this kid. Turning down Peking University for some backwater diploma mill. What kind of future is that? My presence broke Ji Zhoubai's silence. He stared straight at me, voice trembling with conviction. Who says small towns can't breed success? Talent shines anywhere. I'll prove it to you all. Ji Zhoubai's unwavering confidence almost had me fooled. Back when I was still naive about the ways of the world, I used to think the same way. But reality is harsh. In this vast nation of 1.5 billion people, there's always someone more capable than you. In this city notorious for its cutthroat competition, even your food delivery guy could have a PhD. What separates Peking University from Lanxiang isn't just diplomas, it's vision and opportunity. True, gold will always shine, but some gleam brilliantly while others barely glimmer, and some gold remains buried, never to be unearthed in a lifetime. If you want to achieve something, you've got to claw your way to the top. This ruthless world will slap those who want it all right across the face. Ji Zhoubai's stubbornness reached such an unfeeling extreme that Madame Ji locked him out in fury. Only the two of us remained standing in the hallway, the air hung thick with the oppressive heat of early summer. In the end, I was the first to break the silence. "Does it have to be this way?" he said. "You should understand my resolve better than anyone." "Yes, I'm fully aware." This clarity came at the cost of death. I took out the key and unlocked the door. As it was about to close, I turned with a radiant smile. "Auntie won't let you mess up your college applications." Jijobai's eyes burned with nothing but defiance. "I've got my own ways. No need for your concern. Oh, and don't go looking for her anymore. She's sensitive. I don't want her hurt." I froze for a second, forcing myself to keep smiling. "All right, I wish you both happiness." 5. After that, their relationship grew even more passionate. I'm like the villainous supporting character in novels. My sole purpose is to bring the main couple together. Thankfully, this isn't fiction. Jijobai's withdrawal secured me the school's sole recommendation quota. After receiving the admission letter, I packed my bags and headed north. I suppose we'll never cross paths again in this lifetime. A close female classmate told me Jijobai became a completely different person after giving up his guaranteed college admission. He stopped going to the library, his grades plummeted, and he spent all his time hovering around Su Xian. Just the other day, Su Xian's father came to school trying to drag her back to their hometown to prevent her from taking the college entrance exams. Jijobai exploded like dynamite, rushing to Su Xian's defense and driving off that worthless father of hers, vowing to secure her future. I wouldn't have believed the top student could throw punches if I hadn't seen it myself. He nearly got disciplinary action too. You've known him for over a decade. Help me figure out what's going through his head. I think he just couldn't bear to see Su Xian get beaten to death by domestic violence again, so he chose to dedicate his life to protecting Su Xian. The price was my ruined life. I never replied, pretending I'd never known Jijobai. I heard his name again after the college entrance exam results were released. His mother suddenly appeared at the school gate and slapped me across the face. 6. Why didn't you give me Jobai's exam admission ticket? Now he's run off with that Su Xian. Are you happy, Mrs. G's fury made me realize that perhaps Jobai and I weren't the only ones who'd been reborn. From her tirade, I learned Jobai had deliberately underperformed on the college entrance exams to attend a university in Su Xian's rural hometown, just to be with her. Su Xian remained unmarried too, and the two became the golden couple everyone envied during their university years. Ji's mother insisted I ruined Jijobai's life and demanded I take responsibility for it. I could only stand in the wind, smiling bitterly. When I picked up his exam slip, he said I ruined him. This time I didn't pick it up. And he still says I ruined him. Don't you think it's absurd that someone's entire life could be ruined by a single exam admission ticket? She froze for a moment, then grabbed my arm and shook it violently. Ran, why would you do this? Auntie always thought you were such a sensible girl. How could you become so wicked? Wicked? I just don't want to die again, that's all. Yet she still refuses to accept my perspective. If you're afraid Jobai might hurt you, just don't marry him this time. There's no need to go to such extremes. Auntie would never let him harm you again. How casually said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. True, no matter how close we are, she's not my birth mother. From start to finish, I'm the only one who truly cares about myself. I pried her hand off. Auntie, if you can't even convince him to take the college entrance exam seriously, how could you possibly stop him from taking his anger out on me? My words detonated her already fragile self-esteem. A stinging slap landed across my face, the sharp pain jolting me awake. Let's face it, you're just scared of dying. How can you be so selfish? The security guard at the school gate rushed over and pulled her away. She kept clawing at me wildly over the guard's restraining arms. Jobai was in the wrong that time, but you didn't have to retaliate like this. Couldn't you just keep your distance? Why did you have to destroy him? I pressed a hand to my burning cheek, forcing a broken smile. I didn't destroy him, he destroyed himself. After all, I wasn't there when he filled out his college applications. Mrs. G suddenly realized something, her expression turning grave as if facing a mortal threat. Was it you who talked him into changing his application? I knew it was you. If Jobai can't get into Peking University, you won't get away with this. I'll expose what you've done and let PKU faculty see your despicable character. I was just giving well-intentioned advice. How can you call that persuasion? 7. The torrent of curses gradually faded as security escorted the person away. Back in the dorm, I traced the outline of my swollen cheek on the mirror and wrote the date beside it. Later, my homeroom teacher told me Jijobai's mother had actually filed a complaint with the school about my actions, but her absurd complaint caused no ripple. I was told to just let it go. Of course I would. Jijobai and his entire family for that matter, were already dead to me. I remained immersed in my demanding coursework until senior year, when an old classmate sent me unexpected news. Ji Zhoubai and Su Xian had gotten married. It was a union neither set of parents approved. They skipped the banquet and held a simple gathering at a pub with just a handful of friends. The ceremony was modest, but their faces glowed with happiness. I thought Ji Zhoubai was just caught up in the moment. But he actually married Su Xian. They're only 22, that's way too young, age 22, the exact year Su Xian's father sold her to that abusive man in her past life. Ji Zhoubai actually managed to save Su Xian this time. He must be over the moon. Who knew he was such a devoted genius? Su Xian's so lucky. I laughed. 300-something on the Gaokao. Some academic genius you are. You've mastered the art of sarcasm. Sarcasm, just stating facts. When I checked moments, I realized Ji Zhoubai had finally taken me off his block list, yet I never noticed. Our world stood divided, like that red exclamation mark that blocked all connection between us. Beneath his jubilant social media post, I left a simple congratulatory comment. When I woke the next morning, there was a message from Ji Zhoubai sent at 11 p.m. the previous night. He asked me, "Are you still going for your PhD?" I replied, "Absolutely." After a long pause, he said, "Fair enough, no regrets." I left him on read. Ji Zhoubai's lifelong regret was never marrying Su Xian. My own regrets, never fulfilling my potential, never reaching old age. Without him, there'd naturally be no regrets left to haunt me. I resumed living my life as before, with one difference. I never married after earning my doctorate. Just like Ji Zhoubai in his prime, I received an offer from a Fortune 500 company before graduation, pulling in a 7-figure salary in my first year. I thought I'd never see that person again. Until one noon when I encountered Ji Zhoubai delivering my takeout. At first, I was just picking up my food as usual. The receptionist mentioned a delivery guy lingering by the entrance, which finally caught my attention. He turned and saw me, then quickly pulled down his hat brim and walked away. Ji Zhoubai. I could hardly believe the once charismatic man from my memories would reappear like this. This was where Ji Zhoubai used to work. He could have been standing here as an executive. But now he's just delivering takeout. Though I haven't kept up with him these years, I've occasionally heard about Ji Zhoubai from old classmates. Ji Zhoubai had believed that even in a small county town, he could still get into Peking University for graduate studies through his own abilities. To everyone's surprise, Su Xian got pregnant just 1 year into their marriage, under pressure from Su Xian's deadbeat father. Ji Zhoubai was forced to shoulder the burden of supporting the family at a young age. He had no energy left for graduate school entrance exams. Truth be told, the academic tracking system during his 4 college years had already closed the door to Peking University for good. Ji Zhoubai sent out hundreds of resumes, yet barely got any interview opportunities. At first, he raged against those who valued degrees over ability, still putting up a fight. Repeated rejections drained even the strength to resist. Once grand declarations crumbled into worthlessness under reality's harsh erosion. The boy who proclaimed true gold always shines redefined what it means to wear the emperor's robes. Ji Zhoubai stared at me in a daze for what felt like an eternity. 1,000 unspoken words finally condensed into one sentence. "What are you doing here?" To avoid misunderstanding, I explained. "I simply seized the opportunity you let slip away. That's all there is to it." He fumbled awkwardly for conversation. "You changed your number and English name. I didn't recognize you at first. This has always been my name, just never had the chance to use it before. What does a housewife need an English name for?" A flicker of guilt crossed Ji Zhoubai's expression as he rationalized his mistake. "Good, this way I won't feel guilty either." I sneered, "If your guilt is built upon my suffering, then I want none of it." The dying sunlight cast flickering shadows across his face through the window, roughening his voice as well. "I'm sorry." Ji Zhoubai tried to speak again when a voice from behind me cut him off. "Anren, let me treat you to lunch." And this is, the moment their eyes met, both froze in place. Each saw someone who looked remarkably like themselves. 9. Sorry to disappoint, but this isn't some cliché doppelganger drama. Handsome men do share striking similarities. I calmly began introducing Ji Zhoubai, Shenpei, my junior from Peking University. The mention of Peking University visibly altered Ji Zhoubai's expression. I thought he'd remember this person. Though Ji Zhoubai and I studied different majors at Peking University, Shenpei kept chasing after me those years, vowing to win me over. So after parting with Su Xian, he never cared about me at all. Shenpei asked me, "You two are?" I said flatly, "An old classmate I haven't been in touch with for years." Ji Zhoubai's lips froze on the syllable Qing before he finally closed his mouth, and Rand's old classmate must be quite accomplished too. Where do you work now? Ji Zhoubai turned sideways, attempting to hide the 4 bold characters on his yellow uniform. Those 4 giant characters were impossible for him to hide, no matter how hard he tried. Delivering takeout isn't so bad. If I hadn't gotten into Peking University, I might have ended up doing that too. Shenpei's obliviousness only grated on Ji Zhoubai's fragile pride even more. Ji Zhoubai's face remained shrouded in shadow, the darkness lingering stubbornly. For a fleeting moment, I thought I caught a glimpse of slyness flashing across Shenpei's face. He patted my shoulder and ran. There's a new Japanese restaurant next door with ingredients imported from Norway. You can eat there without worries. Ji Zhoubai seemed to have found his trump card as he stared straight at Shenpei. She doesn't like Japanese food, she's sensitive to fishy smells. Unfazed, Shenpei turned to me. Really? But I saw you devouring salmon and sweet shrimp at the last team-building event. The battles between men can be so childish at times. Both Ji Zhoubai and Shenpei were staring at me, waiting for me to declare a winner. The reason Ji Zhoubai assumed I didn't like it was because he never took me out to eat after graduation. After marriage, he barely even came home. How would he know what I did or ate alone at home? I declared with a smile. You've got it wrong. It's your wife who can't stand fishy smells. Ji Zhoubai froze, disbelief written all over his face. He probably thinks I've changed, when in truth, he never really knew me. Shenpei's sarcasm was late but inevitable. How could you even get this wrong? If it were me, I wouldn't just remember what we ate. I'd know exactly when my wife's period starts. He looked at me and said, wish I'd met you sooner. A capable woman like you shouldn't be snatched up by someone else. Hello, T. We were chatting and laughing, while Ji Zhoubai stood there awkwardly, caught in a dilemma. Anran, Shenpei didn't give him a chance, linking arms with me. Let's go. 10. When we got back to the office, Ji Zhoubai had already left. Shenpei said he just couldn't stand the way that guy looked at me, wanted to piss him off. Truth be told, I wanted to mess with him too. But it didn't seem worth the trouble. Life has already taught him a harsh lesson on my behalf. This episode didn't affect my life, and after some time, I received a lengthy text message. The message wasn't signed, but it was clearly from Ji Zhoubai, filled with resentment and frustration about his current situation. He complained about being exhausted after marriage since having a child. Su Xian stopped working and stayed home all day, leaving him to shoulder the financial burden alone. His mother cut ties with him right after the college entrance exams and never visited him once. He's in dire financial straits now and asked if I could put in a good word for him at the company. After all, he did work here before and knows all the company's operations inside out. And Ran, I know I've wronged you. Please, for the sake of all these years we've known each other, help me just this once, just get me that referral. And I'm confident I'll land this offer. In text messages, Ji Zhoubai brimmed with ambition. In reality, Ji Zhoubai couldn't even get his foot in the door. The harsh truth, this company only hires PhDs, he's just an average undergrad. If it weren't for delivering takeout, he wouldn't even get past the front gate. Job hunting isn't child's play. You can't just claim you're capable without proof. A diploma may be one-dimensional, but it's still concrete evidence. Every field has its top performers. If you can't even make a name for yourself delivering food, how can anyone believe you're competent? This statement simply doesn't hold water. Yet in such lopsided circumstances, every word from the successful becomes gospel for those desperate to succeed. After replying, I deleted the text and blocked him, pretending the message never arrived. On the eve of Lunar New Year's Eve, I heard Ji Zhoubai's name again. It was a call from the hospital. The doctor said he'd been in a delivery scooter accident, and I was the first contact in his phone. 11. When I arrived at the hospital, Ji Zhoubai was already out of critical condition. He'd broken a leg, lying unshaven on the hospital bed with ashen complexion. He looked utterly defeated, as if he'd aged a decade overnight. The accident happened when he ran a red light on his e-bike while making a left turn, getting T-boned by a car going straight. Fortunately, the vehicles were just accelerating, so the impact wasn't severe, just a fractured shin bone. But losing that client contract meant 3 months bedridden with zero income. Since running the red light made him primarily at fault, he had to cover not only his own medical bills but also the damages to the other vehicle. After all the insurance calculations and deductibles, he still ended up paying over 10,000 yuan out of pocket. That 10 grand, much like the infamous 750-point threshold, seemed just a number on paper, but could crush a person when it came due. Su Xian tended to Ji Zhoubai in the hospital room with their child in tow. Their child will turn 7 after the new year, just about to start elementary school. With Jijobai's current predicament, he's probably in no position to help even if he wanted to. Su Xian had her back to me, making her features indistinguishable, yet the hunched curve of her shoulders bore unmistakable marks of life's hardships. She peeled an apple for Jijobai. You're always in such a hurry. I told you to ride slower. What would I do if something happened to you? Our son still needs to go to school. Where am I supposed to scrape together that kind of money? Her soft, helpless sobs transported me back to that summer when she said she'd let me have Jijobai. But this time, she received no mercy from Jijobai. With a loud thud, the apple tumbled to the ground. Money, 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 that's all you ever think about. Do you know why I'm in such a hurry? It's all for you and our son. If I don't push myself this hard, who's going to respect me? I'm killing myself out there while you're living it up at home without earning a dime, and now you're blaming me. I must have been out of my mind to give up so much for you. A torrent of rage swept through like those fiery sunset clouds, beautiful yet stinging to the eyes. Su Xian stood there dumbfounded, completely clueless about what she'd done wrong. Seeing his daughter being bullied by Jijobai, Su Xian's father yanked him to the ground and started viciously kicking his legs while hurling abuse. You're a damn loser blaming my daughter. If you hadn't promised her a future, I'd have married her off to the nouveau riche in my village as a wealthy housewife. You fucking deserve this. How dare you lecture my daughter? I'll beat you to death. Jijobai was beaten to the ground, howling like a rat scurrying across the street, dragging one leg. He crawled forward to escape his father-in-law's brutal beating. Just 1 meter from the ward, he spotted me standing outside watching the drama unfold, and ran. 12. At the sound of my name, everyone froze in unison, casting complicated glances toward the door. It had been ages since I'd heard Jijobai call my name with such desperation, as if I were his salvation. The next moment, he looked visibly uncomfortable, yet reality forced him to swallow his pride, and ran. I'm begging you, save me. I reckon he was about to ask me for a loan, or maybe just straight up money. Before he could speak again, I made up an excuse. Sorry, I'm here for a medical checkup. It's almost my turn. I'll come right back after the examination. A flicker of dejection passed through Jijobai's eyes before hope quickly reignited. You must come back. I'll be waiting. Wait then. I quickly stepped out of his sight and went to ask the hospital about the phone call. The nurse on duty told me I was listed as love in Jijobai's contacts, so she assumed I was his lover. It wasn't until she scrolled further that she found another entry labeled wife. Must have been a mix-up. I forced an awkward smile and told a white lie. My name's Shoei. We're not that close, so please don't call me about him again. The nurse apologized and removed me from Jijobai's emergency contacts. I left the hospital and got back to my own life. As for Jijobai, let him wait. Nothing is more despairing than watching hope slip away moment by moment before your eyes. Perhaps truly desperate, Su Xian came to my office 3 days later. I invited her to a cafe, just like old classmates catching up. That tattered yet beautiful butterfly that once fluttered into Jijobai's heart has now withered to a dull yellow. Her hands bore the marks of endless household chores. The clarity had faded from her eyes. After a long silence, she finally gathered the courage to ask me, Anran, why do you hate Jobai so much? Just because he chose me over you back then? No matter how much you can't let go of him, look at the state he's in now. Have some mercy on him. My head is killing me. What a ridiculous argument. In her eyes, or in the eyes of many, I'm just someone who'd destroy Jijobai if I can't have him. I do want to ruin him, but what I really crave is watching him rot from within. Jijobai's mother was right. I truly am wicked, but what do you expect from someone missing half their brain? Jijobai has smashed my brains to pulp. Did he ever think to show me mercy while slamming my head against the wall over and over? After death, I lingered in the air for a long time, watching in horror as my mangled body lay in the ICU. Half my skull caved in, face swollen and bruised like some ghoul. After what he did to me, it'd be weird if I just let it go, but Su Xian knew nothing about this. Don't worry, this is between him and me, you won't be involved. As I stood to leave, Su Xian grabbed my arm in agitation. Just 10 grand, please, I'm begging you. I stopped in my tracks, not out of pity, but at the sight of the bruise peeking from Su Xian's sleeve. She hastily pulled down her sleeve, avoiding my gaze. Seeds of suspicion took root in my mind. In this life, Su Xian never met the nouveau riche who abused her, and judging by her father's demeanor that day, he didn't seem the type to hit her either. That left only Jijobai. Her unusual reaction confirmed my suspicions. I pulled a business card from my bag. If you ever need help, here's a divorce lawyer's contact. She didn't answer. just clutched my sleeve and knelt on the ground begging, please lend me 10,000 yuan. I swear I'll never bother you again. In the end, I gave her the money, considering it the price for peace, and true to her word, Su Xian never showed up again, because she was dead. 13. The news of her death reached me during a class reunion after the new year. The class know-it-all said Ji Zhoubai became uncharacteristically violent after breaking his leg. Right around that time, Su Xian's father kept pressuring her to marry some nouveau riche, which sent Ji Zhou into a rage. He beat her mercilessly. When Su Xian sought a divorce lawyer out of desperation, Ji Zhoubai found out and beat her into intensive care. Just heard the news the other day, they're already gone. Everyone was deeply saddened. Nobody understood how that once passionate campus romance that set the whole school abuzz could end up like this. It hit me particularly hard. The man who vowed to protect Su Xin ended up being the one who took her life with his own hands. Yet this didn't come without warning signs. Didn't he beat me to death too? People say he's just another abusive husband, no different from that nouveau riche. We poured a cup of wine on the ground, toasting our departed classmate and the youth we've lost. A few days later, I came across news about Ji Zhoubai. It was featured on a legal affairs program. Former top student murders wife to spite mother. Is this the corruption of humanity or the collapse of morality? Ji Zhoubai didn't even spare his own mother. No wonder his mother pinned her hopes on me rather than confronting him directly, because she feared for her life too. Yet in the end, her own son slit her throat with his bare hands. During a prison interview, he became emotional, blaming his mother for ruining his life. Had his mother supported his relationship, he wouldn't have suffered so terribly or resorted to extreme measures. He poured out his misery dramatically before the cameras. The program ultimately concluded that the domineering single mother's psychological abuse led to her tragic comeuppance. I turned off the TV, took a mirror from the safe, and wiped off the patterns on it. I picked a weekend to visit that prison. 14. Ji Zhoubai wore prison garb with a buzz cut, his former handsome appearance completely gone. His eyes held no desire, no light, just a stillness like stagnant water. We picked up the phone, separated by a pane of glass. He said, "You came. Never thought I'd end up like this, did you? What's so surprising, wasn't it the same last time?" He chuckled bitterly. "Yeah, no different at all. Should have just followed you to Peking University. At least I'd have had my glory days." I looked at him calmly. "You won't. You're always trying to prove to me that there's a better path. Otherwise, you wouldn't have cut off all retreats just because of my words." Memories flashed between us like a zoetrope. Ji Zhoubai froze momentarily, then suddenly lashed out like a roused beast, pounding violently against the glass. "You did this on purpose. You actually planned this. You deliberately acted like you couldn't forget me, just to push me into rushing into a relationship with Su Xian, right into the trap you'd set all along." I shrugged, playing innocent. "What happens to you is none of my business, Ji Zhoubai, from start to finish. You've only ever been a selfish person, from the very beginning. You never considered sacrificing your future for her. You could have deliberately failed the exemption exam, but you didn't. That admission ticket was just an excuse to take your anger out on me. Who would have thought my death would come down to a single exam permit?" Me, and ran. He slammed the table and rose to his feet, consumed by rage. With a knowing smile, I reminded him, 6 months left, make them count. Last time, he died of a sudden stroke exactly 6 months after being imprisoned. I hung up and walked away. His furious screams behind me went completely unheard. 6 months later, I returned to that prison only to learn Ji Zhoubai had long been dead. An insider told me after my visit, Ji became convinced he was ill, petitioning for medical exams that always came back clean, yet he refused to believe it, obsessively counting down days in a notebook. Wandering like a ghost, utterly unhinged, he kept fearing sudden death, until death took him at last. Everyone says he scared himself to death. Before dying, he wrote 5 words in his notebook: "Anren, I'm sorry." I looked up at the empty air and whispered, "I won't accept your apology." Later I had a dream where the deceased Ji Zhoubai told an old man he longed to be reborn again. The old man was knitting a sweater, his voice low and raspy. People always think a second chance would fix their regrets, only to create more regrets in the end. Life gives no do-overs. It's a one-way road. Own your gains and losses. Blame no one. Since we're given a second chance, don't dwell on regrets, make it count. With that, she flashed me a smile. I woke to the 5 a.m. sunrise, watching it climb steadily into the sky. I'll strive to live vibrantly, worthy of this extraordinary life. Story 2. I've been Huishen's canary for 3 years. On the day I found out about my unexpected pregnancy, I overheard his twin brother say, Bro, I've been pretending to be you and playing with your canary for so long. Won't she get angry and run away if she finds out? Huishin said carelessly. What's there to fear? She wouldn't dare leave. Besides, it's not the first time we've switched, but don't let anyone get pregnant with me. I find it disgusting. The barrage comments appeared before my eyes. Hilarious. The supporting female character is pregnant and still happily oblivious, unaware that Huishin never touched her. It was his twin brother who got her pregnant. Huishin's heart belongs only to the female lead. Even if the supporting female character is carrying his child, he'll make sure she disappears with the baby, without crying or making a scene. I continued playing the role of a caged canary for the fake Huishin. Secretly, I scheduled an abortion and booked an international flight. When he caught me at the abortion clinic, he went berserk and choked his younger brother, who gave you permission to touch her. 1. On the day I found out about the unexpected pregnancy, I went to the club Huishin frequented in heavy rain. When I arrived at the club, my hair was slightly damp from the rain. Just as I was about to push open the club's door, I heard Huishin's cold voice coming from inside. Had enough fun? When are you switching back? His twin brother Huichia said. No. We haven't had enough fun yet. Huishin frowned and said, you didn't touch her, did you? You know our rules. Huichia froze almost imperceptibly for a moment before slowly curling his lips into a smile. What are you afraid of? I didn't. He picked up his wine glass. But even if I had, you probably wouldn't mind, right? Huishin paused, his expression slightly unnatural. Of course, it's just that I find it dirty. The private room erupted in teasing. Second young master Hua. You're even playing with a woman your brother has already had. Nonsense. Don't blame second young master Hua. With a face like Xiaoji's, who wouldn't want to play with her? Her figure is curvaceous in all the right places, with a peach-like bottom that looks ripe for the picking. It's just that young master Hua stays away from women and won't touch her. The woman sitting beside Huishin burst into laughter. Why does Xiaoji feel like a public toilet? Anyone can have a go. The surrounding crowd immediately erupted in raucous laughter. I recognize this woman, Xiao Xinyue, the little princess of the capital's elite circle, was Huishin's childhood sweetheart, cherished in his hands since they were young. A few people asked, who came up with this idea? Playing so boldly, Xiao Xinyue raised her eyebrows. They're so dumb. Of course it was me. Xiaoji could never have dreamed that Huishin also had a twin brother. Hurry up and thank me, if it weren't for me. You wouldn't have gotten to play something this thrilling. Huishin smiled dotingly. Yes, you're the smartest one. Someone asked. I heard that in 7 days, young Master Hua is going to hold a wedding with Xiaoji. Is it true? Huishin chuckled. Of course it's fake. The little girl wants a title. Just playing along with her for fun. Xiao Xinyue suddenly sat up straight, a mischievous glint flashing in her eyes. When you get married 7 days later. Tell her that for this entire year, you've been taking turns playing with her. I want to see her reaction live, pushing her into the abyss when she's closest to happiness. Isn't that fun? Huishin smiled helplessly. How old are you? Still acting so childish, Xiao Xinyue pouted. No matter how childish I am, you've always given me everything I wanted since childhood, but you should also be careful. Don't accidentally get her pregnant while playing around. These slum women can be very troublesome when they get pregnant. Huishin frowned slightly. Don't joke like that. We've never touched her. Xiao Xinyue tilted her head impressed. Then what if she really gets pregnant by accident? Huishin smiled indifferently. Then just make her leave, right, Chia? Huichia was momentarily dazed. Hearing Huishin call him, he belatedly responded, comment, LMAO. Huichia claims he's never played before. But he's actually been sleeping with her behind his brother's back for ages. The female side character is happily oblivious about her pregnancy, unaware that Huishin never touched her. It was his twin brother who played with her until she got pregnant. Huishin only has eyes for the female lead. Even if the side character were carrying his child, he'd make both her and the baby disappear. So satisfying. Huishin remains chaste for the female lead. While Huichia just used the side character for practice, now this is the kind of pampered protagonist story I should be reading. I stared at the pregnancy test in my hand, showing 2 clear lines. When I ran here through the rain, I originally wanted to tell Huishin this news immediately. I'm really pregnant. Now it seems there's no need for that anymore. 2. That same afternoon, I scheduled the abortion procedure and bought a plane ticket for 7 days later. It was the same day as the wedding. The sugar daddy sent living expenses these days, so I could still make some extra money, since they wanted to reveal the truth at the wedding to humiliate me. Then why don't I run away from the wedding first and turn their script into a complete joke? Anyway, after all these years of being a full-time canary, I've saved quite a bit of money, especially recently. The progress of saving money has doubled. I always wondered why Huishin kept forgetting he'd already transferred money to me. Sending it over and over again, the mystery is solved. It turns out Huishin transferred money to my account once, and then his brother Huichia did it again. I gently stroked my little nest egg. I first crossed paths with Huishin during university. Xiao Xingyue was my college roommate. She really enjoys playing prank games that ruin people's futures. In high school, she had her wealthy friend pursue an ordinary girl. Roses, luxury goods, and handbags were showered relentlessly every day. The girl had never experienced such an onslaught and fell for it within days. On the eve of the college entrance exam, Xiao Xingyue asked her friend to break up with that girl. Devastated by the breakup, the girl who originally had good grades performed poorly in the exam. Right after the exam ended, she jumped off a building and became vegetative. Meanwhile, Xiao Xingyue happily went to college and became my roommate. She took a liking to me, someone working 3 jobs. The reason I work 3 jobs a day is because I'm a broken campus belle with a gambling father, a prematurely deceased mother, and a sick grandmother. This time, I became her new game. Huishin is the male lead she carefully selected for me, a math genius from Tsinghua University. The campus heartthrob whose candid photos go viral with hundreds of millions of views when posted online by random passers-by. Also the eldest son of the Hua conglomerate family, with limitless future prospects. She sought Huishin to strategize about me, aiming to make me his girlfriend. According to Xiao Xinyue's script, Huishin would spoil me with money and corrupt me, wait until I get used to all this, then dump me, leaving me utterly shattered by the immense. Huishin is indeed very good to me. He constantly showers me with gifts, pities my background, forbids me from working part-time, and surprises me with new every day. But I'm a hoarder. I'll hoard as much as Huishin gives me. I won't wear the jewelry he gives me. I'll sell it online at a high price. I'm terrified of poverty. I feel undeserving. The more money you hoard, the safer you feel. Moreover, I'm not stupid. I can sense that Huishin seems to be putting on an act with me. Every time we held hands, I didn't miss the fleeting mockery in his eyes, though I don't know why he doesn't like me yet still confessed to me. But he truly is a fool with too much money. I should stock up more. After all, opportunity knocks but once. We dated, hugged, and kissed like any ordinary couple. In winter, I would personally knit him a scarf as a gift. The day Grandma fell seriously ill, I proactively asked Huishin for an expensive birthday gift for the first time. I remember Huishin first froze for a moment, then smiled. I didn't forget the wild joy and amusement that exploded in his pupils, like a venomous snake finally flicking its tongue. They thought I must have been spoiled rotten, corrupted. Everything went according to plan. The next day, Huishin took the initiative to break up with me. Xiao Xingyue was waiting to see me unable to bear the impoverished life after the breakup, making a scene, clinging desperately to Huishin, and making a complete fool of myself. But she found that I was still the same as before, working part-time when needed, attending school as usual, returning to a mundane daily routine, just a small liberation, reduced from 3 jobs a day to 2. Sometimes you can add a small sausage and an egg to instant noodles. After the meal, have a cup of AD calcium milk, and gain 3 pounds. She didn't pester him daily to reconcile or act desperately over Huishin. She even deleted all of Huishin's contact information cleanly after the breakup. Nothing met her expectations, so she threw a tantrum, finding the game utterly boring. From then on, she kept targeting me in the dorm, putting nails in my shoes, or pouring cold water on my quilt in winter. Later, my father gambled and owed the Hua family a lot of money. To repay the debt, he used me as collateral. By a twist of fate, I became Huishin's canary. Actually, I had recently planned to settle down and live a good life with him. Huishin has always been aloof and never touched me, but since the beginning of the year, he suddenly started being willing to kiss me. That night, he came back drunk. I helped him onto the sofa and made him sobering tea. Suddenly he wrapped his arm around my waist, pulled me into his embrace, and gently kissed my lips. I rarely kiss, and almost ran out of breath. He chuckled softly. So this is the taste, sweet, next time we kiss. Remember to breathe. That night, he gave me my first taste of forbidden fruit. Later on, he enjoyed experimenting with various thrilling games with me. He doesn't like taking precautions. He enjoys tormenting me when both the butler and maid are present. I could only bite my lip and endure desperately. The more it's like this, the more interesting it becomes. He has a quirk when cooking at night. He likes to make me repeat his name over and over. What's my name? Huishin, you're Huishin. Wrong, say it again, what's wrong with you, Huashen? He suppressed the ferocity in his eyes. The more his name was called, the fiercer he became, although he acts a bit strange when cooking, like a mad dog that needs to be petted the right way, but he loves to act spoiled, enjoys kissing me, knows I have a sensitive stomach, and makes me warm porridge to soothe it. He would set off fireworks all night in Jiangqing on my birthday, as grand fireworks exploded in the sky. He patted my head and said, "Baby, let's live our days well together." When I have nightmares, he wakes me up, carefully holds me in his arms and says, "Sweetheart, don't be afraid." I gradually started to feel that I might be developing feelings for him. A few months ago, he pinned me on the bed again, refusing to use protection. I asked, "What if I get pregnant?" He kissed me and said, "Then have the baby, I'll take care of it." He was the one who proposed marriage that night. After everything was over, he leaned over me and said, "Baby, stop being a lover, be my beloved instead." Looking back now, from the very first time we rolled into bed together, that person wasn't Huashen, but Huachia, wasn't it? And the marriage proposal was just a new prank game. I truly did consider keeping this child. Now it seems there's no need for that anymore. 5 days left before going abroad. I can now easily distinguish between the two Hua brothers. Huashen is cold, gloomy, rarely smiles, and a workaholic. Huachia loves to act spoiled, has a mole on his Adonis belt, visible every time he strips naked for business. I don't know if Huashen has this mole down there. He's never touched me. This morning when I went downstairs, Huashen was sitting there reading a newspaper with gold-rimmed glasses. Xiaoji, dressed nicely today, we're having guests. Only he would read newspapers early in the morning, wear gold-rimmed glasses, and still sound so indifferent. It's really Huashen. The barrage is extremely excited. He. Today I'm finally meeting Huachia in person. The female supporting character has been thoroughly played by Huachia. He knows all her sensitive spots, yet she has to pretend not to know him. Must be quite frustrating. People in the slums are all like this. They'll endure anything for money. Our girl is much better. A true leading lady who never depends on others. This meeting is just setting the stage to publicly humiliate the supporting female character on her birthday. I can't wait. The female lead is such a scheming little drama queen. I love it. I went upstairs to change clothes. At noon, Huachia and Xiao Xingyue arrived together. Seeing Huachia, who looked exactly like Huashen, I pretended to be startled, showing just the right amount of surprise. Huashen introduced him to me. "This is my twin brother. He just returned from a business trip abroad." Huachia proactively extended his hand to me. "Hello." I also shook his hand. "Hello." I smiled. "I didn't expect you two to look exactly alike." Huachia's expression remained unchanged, his smile gentle and harmless. "There's still much you don't know." Sometimes I really admire Huachia. Despite having slept together countless times, he can still pretend we're strangers. Xiao Xingyue smiled. "No need to introduce me. Xiaoji and I were college roommates." She took my hand proactively. "I heard you're getting married soon. Huashen and I have discussed it. I'll be your bridesmaid." Before the words faded, the chef came to inform us that the dishes were ready. At the dining table, Xiao Xingyue sat between Huashen and Huachia, resting her chin on her hand. She asked me with a smile, "Xiaoji, have you noticed any changes in Huashen recently?" I knew why she was deliberately asking this. She just wanted to see me make a fool of myself, so I decided to play along with her game. I put down my chopsticks and nodded. "Yes, he's indeed changed a lot this year." At that moment, it felt like the world had hit the pause button. They were all momentarily stunned, especially the two Hua brothers, whose expressions turned particularly stiff. I suddenly laughed, my cheeks lightly flushing. "He's become even better to me, and I find myself liking him more and more." Huashen looked at Huachia with an unpleasant expression. During the meal, Huachia naturally placed the peeled shrimp into my bowl and said affectionately, "Sweetheart, garlic butter shrimp, shelled, just how you like it." The next second, we were both stunned. He suddenly seemed to realize something, yet his expression remained composed. "My brother likes to call you that. It just rolls off the tongue." I nodded. "You're quite the kind one, aren't you?" Huashen shot Huachia a warning glance. I ignored them, popping the peeled shrimp into my mouth and chewing away. I frowned. Not good, fishy, feeling nauseous. I covered my mouth and rushed into the bathroom. After vomiting, Xiao Xingyue looked at me meaningfully and said, "Could it be morning sickness?" The gazes of Huashen and Huachia simultaneously fell upon me. I said, "No, I've had an upset stomach recently." "What's wrong with vomiting?" "It's good, vomiting helps you lose weight." Huashen put down his chopsticks with a forced smile. If you get any thinner, you'll feel bony to the touch. 4. After dinner that day, Huashen and Huachia escorted Xiaoxingyue home together. They returned very late. As soon as he got home, he went straight to take a shower. I'm not quite sure if the person showering now is Huashen or Huachia. I saw his phone placed on the bedside table, so I simply picked it up. The barrage is cursing at me. What does this supporting female character think she's doing? Daring to check the sponsor's phone. Does she have a death wish? Is she even worthy? What's there to fear? It's password protected. The password is Xiaoxingyue's birthday. That idiot will be trying until the year of the monkey. Oh, thank you. After all, we used to be roommates. Xiaoxingyue always made a big deal about her birthday every year. It was hard not to notice. I quickly entered Xiaoxingyue's birthday. The phone unlocked as expected. Opening WeChat, I scrolled through the chat history between Huashen and Huachia. Huashen, switch back to me in a couple of days. Huachia, no. I haven't had enough fun yet. Huashen, she said you've been very good to her this past year. You haven't developed feelings for her, have you? Huachia replied after a long pause. No, why would I? Didn't you say it yourself? The better you treat her, the harder she falls when the dream shatters. I've spent most of this year with her. With just a few days left, I don't want her to suspect anything. Huashen, understood. You really didn't touch her. Huachia, no, why, do you care? Huashen, no, I just don't want my toy to get dirty. I'm warning you, play around if you want, but don't cross the line. That's the rule. It seems Huachia is coming home today. 10 minutes later, Huachia came in after showering. I was playing Happy Match on my phone, pretending not to see. Huachia gently picked up my wrist, implying something. Why do you always get such long nails? My back is covered in your scratches, I said. Then call the police. Huachia froze for a moment. Then suddenly chuckled softly. Baby, how can you be so adorable? He gently cupped my face and leaned down to kiss my lips. His hands grew restless, sneaking under my clothes. I hurriedly pushed him away. My stomach hurts today. Hearing this, Huachia frowned. Stomachache. Is your acting up again? I shook my head. No. His hand reached to my stomach. Let me massage it for you. I pushed his hand away. No need. Huachia's hand froze in midair. After a long pause, he snorted coldly. Fine. Suffer then. I won't care about you anymore. We haven't spoken in a long time. At night, my stomach kept aching. I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, curling myself into a ball. I don't know what time it was when Huachia let out a soft sigh. He pulled me close, gently patting my back, his voice drowsy and slightly hoarse. Good girl, it's okay now. It's okay now. When I was very little, my mother used to pat my back like this too. That memory already feels as distant as a dream. Kuwokai did these things to me. I find it extremely ironic. 5. In the morning, when I woke up groggily, Huachia was already awake. He stood by the bed, flipping through my phone with an unpleasant expression. Seeing me awake, he gave me a forced smile that didn't reach his eyes, like a sinister male ghost. Baby, be honest with me. Are you hiding something from me? I let out a soft yawn. What could I possibly hide from you? His face darkened as he curled his lips into a smile. Not talking. Fine, then tell me. He held my phone right in front of my eyes, almost touching the tip of my nose. Why would an abortion clinic send you preoperative instructions for the procedure? His voice grew colder. Baby, how come I didn't know you were pregnant? At that moment, my whole body froze, and my temples throbbed, but I quickly regained my composure. Oh, what a fuss. Probably clicked some ad by mistake while browsing sketchy websites earlier. If I were really pregnant, I'd definitely tell you and have you wrapped around my finger. Huachia raised an eyebrow. You browse those shady websites too. I nodded. It's always good to learn more. He lifted my chin. The positions I teach you daily aren't enough. Keep learning and you might drive me crazy right here. He held me in his arms and asked, tell me everything. What have you learned? I replied, I don't know. I didn't remember any of it. He suddenly burst out laughing. So silly. It seems I'll have to teach you myself. He looked at me. Xiaoji, there are 4 more days until we get married. On our wedding day, I'll make you the happiest bride in the world, okay? I didn't respond, because we won't get married, and there won't be a future for us. 6. Huashen and Huachia are both busy preparing for the wedding. I was busy packing for my trip abroad and transferring all the assets I had obtained from the Hua family. I have a good friend abroad named Su Yen, who had already booked a hospital bed for my abortion procedure. She also helped me find an apartment abroad with the floor-to-ceiling windows and large balcony I love. The living expenses had also been transferred, still split into 2 payments. Each person gives their own share. In the afternoon, Huichia took me to try on wedding dresses. He poked my belly. Your tummy's a bit round lately. What delicious things have you been eating? Covering my stomach, I said. None of your business. He laughed. We're about to get married, yet your temper has grown. He lifted my hand and slipped a ring onto my ring finger. It had a diamond as big as a pigeon's egg. He hugged me. Wonderful. You'll soon be mine. Held in his arms, I let out a soft murmur. The barrage comments revolted. I've had it with this shameless woman. Does she really think he'd marry her? The audacity. If she had any dignity or self-respect, she'd have left after overhearing those words. Gold digger confirmed. You're right. In the novel, the female supporting character is indeed a gold digger. Both of them are rich and good-looking. Of course they wouldn't want to run away. If you know what's good for you, take the money and run. Otherwise, our darling will make sure she's ruined at the wedding. I'm in no mood to argue with these barrage comments. I was just silently calculating in my mind how much this ring could be sold for. 2 more days until going abroad. For the first time, I splurged at a bar and ordered some male escorts to dance the bump and grind for me. I also want to experience the feeling of casually picking men to play with. I coughed and choked while drinking a glass of alcohol. At that very moment, we suddenly heard a discordant sound. Xia Xingyue was sitting at the bar not far away. She was completely drunk, slurring her words as she said, after we humiliate her at the wedding, just kick her out quickly. It's annoying seeing her squeeze between you guys every day. For the first time, Huishen didn't immediately comply with her request. Instead, he remained silent for a while before speaking slowly. Let's talk about this later. Xia Xingyue paused for a moment, then looked at Huichia. Chia, what do you think? Huichia also averted his gaze. She's so clingy to me. No, clingy to my brother. If we just send her away, I'm afraid she won't be able to handle it. Xia Xingyue showed displeasure on her face. You're not going soft on her, are you? Back in college, you all agreed to the plan of pranking Xiaji. At the time, the prank didn't work. And Xiaji didn't even act heartbroken over the breakup. Weren't you two also unhappy and wanted another chance to mess with her? Now that we finally have the opportunity, of course we should trample her into the mud. Their drinking buddies also chimed in to smooth things over. Xia Xingyue cares about you two way too much. What's Xiaji worth? Just play with her and throw her away when you're done. Do you really have the heart to make Xingyue sad? Don't forget. When we played role-playing as kids, you fought to play Xinyue's husband. You've watched Xia Xinyue grow up. You'd give her the stars in the sky if she asked. There's no need to refuse such a small favor. If she's really being difficult, Huishen might as well reward her with a breakup hookup. After all, you haven't touched her all these years. Let her have this one. The barrage comments erupted into arguments. What's up with the Hu brothers? Weren't they always doting on their little sister before? You don't think they've fallen for the supporting female character, do you? Huichia too. After cooking with the female supporting character so many times, wouldn't they develop feelings over time? You're overthinking it. In the novel, when they found out the female supporting character was pregnant, they locked her in the basement and tortured her to death. I didn't look at those bullet comments, holding my breath as I waited for their response. After waiting for a long time, I heard Huishen speak softly. I understand. At that moment, my heart skipped a beat. As expected. 8. On the wedding day, Huishen wore a perfectly tailored black suit, looking extraordinarily handsome. Huichia was dressed in a white groom's suit, standing out like the moon among stars. Xia Xingyue wore her custom-made bridesmaid dress, resembling an evening gown, even more luxurious than my privately tailored wedding dress, like a little princess, holding a video camera, ready to film my breakdown and despair at any moment, turning it into her trophy. Every victim of her prank games gets filmed as her keepsake, probably wanting everyone to see how I was played by 2 men for a whole year, becoming their rotating plaything in this farce. Xiao Xingyue even arranged for someone to livestream it. The people in the livestream didn't know what was happening, but seeing it was a newlywed couple, they all came to offer their blessings. She smiled at the camera and said, No, I'm not the bride, just the childhood friend of the groom and best man. I've been doted on by these two since childhood, so of course I had to be the bridesmaid at his wedding. Really, I'm not as beautiful as you all say. If you keep praising me like this, the bride will get upset. She's actually quite petty, but today, I'll also be giving the bride a big gift. I hope you'll all look forward to it. Hearing this, the livestream audience also started discussing today's bride. By noon, when all the guests had gradually arrived, the bride still hadn't shown up. Huishen's expression changed as he slowly realized something was wrong. He called me, only to find he'd been blocked. He messaged me again. Xiaji, it's our wedding day, don't pick today to be difficult with me." At that very moment, the banquet guests let out cries of astonishment. The wedding's large screen displayed the complete footage from the club that day. Huaqia's voice was the first to be heard. "Bro, I've been pretending to be you and playing with your canary for so long. Wonder if she'll get mad and run away when she finds out. What's there to fear? She can't bear to part with it. Besides, it's not the first time we've switched. But don't let anyone get pregnant. I find it disgusting. I heard young Master Hua is holding a wedding with Xiaoji in 7 days. True or false? Of course it's fake. The little girl wants a title. Just stringing her along for fun. Why does Xiaoji feel like a public toilet? Anyone can take a turn playing with her. After you get married in 7 days, tell her you've all been taking turns with her this whole year. I want to see her reaction live. Pushing her into the abyss when she's closest to happiness. Isn't that fun?" The wedding instantly descended into chaos. At the end of the video, the screen was dominated by a mocking yellow emoji sticking out its tongue, accompanied by several lines of text. "Game over. Satisfied now. Oh, by the way, Huaqia, I've been too embarrassed to say this, you're terrible in bed. This whole year, I didn't enjoy it one bit. Not as good as the 8 male models I ordered. Farewell. I really don't have time for your nonsense anymore." This farce caused the live stream viewership to skyrocket, instantly becoming noisy and chaotic. "This is hilarious. These cliques tried to mess with others but ended up getting counter-trolled themselves. This is so disgusting. The woman slaps once, while the man delivers 10 slaps in return. If the man disagrees, others wanting to do this rotten thing is useless anyway. So where's the bride? Did she run away from the wedding? Isn't it obvious? The wedding's been going on for ages and the bride still hasn't shown up. This is hilarious. These scumbags plan to humiliate the bride on her wedding day, but now they get to taste the shame of public embarrassment themselves. How does it feel?" Xiao Xinyua's face turned deathly pale as she covered her face and screamed hoarsely, "Turn it off. Shut down the livestream now." Meanwhile, I had already disembarked from the plane, spreading my arms wide to greet my friend waiting at the airport. I shouted joyfully, "Su Yan, I'm free." 9. After arriving in France, I lived together with Su Yan. Su Yan finished watching the live broadcast of Xiao Xinyua's wedding and laughed so hard she slapped her thigh. "They were acting to deceive you. Who would have thought you were also putting on an act all along? When did your little brain become so sharp? Did you hear? The Hua family is in complete chaos. Rumor has it that after you left, the 2 Hua brothers went crazy searching for you." This didn't surprise me. After all, I thoroughly humiliated them before leaving. Especially Huaqia. I made a point of emphasizing how terrible he was in bed. To be fair though, he's actually quite skilled in that department. He always brings me to the brink of ecstasy. But since I'm leaving without a second thought, I had to be heartless like this. I took a bite of the apple. "By the way, Su Yan, how's my abortion appointment going?" Su Yan said, "Don't worry, you just need to do some tests." "Okay, let's do it as soon as possible." "Got it." Su Yan accompanied me to the hospital for various tests. I underwent a painless abortion procedure. A week before the surgery, Su Yan bought me a Wangzai snack gift pack to comfort me and told me not to be nervous. Holding the gift pack, I teared up. How could life be the same with just anyone? On the day of the surgery, I lay on the hospital bed, was given anesthesia, and gradually lost my ability to move autonomously as my consciousness grew increasingly unclear. At that moment, someone approached me. "Is it the doctor?" The footsteps grew closer and closer. I struggled to open my eyes. I couldn't tell what I saw, but a chill ran down my spine. Then came the creeping horror. The person entering was not a doctor. It was Huaqia, and a group of black-suited bodyguards from the Hua family. The last voice in my heart told me, "It's over." I wanted to move, to escape, but the effects of the general anesthesia had already left me immobile. I was like a lamb to the slaughter. In the last moment of consciousness, Huashin gently leaned down and carried me out. Huaqia stood behind him, clenching his fists. 10. I woke up in an unfamiliar villa. Huashin sat quietly by my bedside. Around his neck was the navy blue scarf I had knitted for him years ago, which clashed awkwardly with his high-end tailored clothes. Noticing I was awake, he looked at me with a slightly hoarse voice. "You're awake. Are you hungry?" I gazed at him. "Why are you here?" He sighed softly and gently patted my head. "There's always a way to find you." I nervously shrank back. "Why look for me? To torment me?" Seeing me retreat, he paused, frowning. "Why think that way? Have I ever done anything rough to you? If that's the case, then let me go. Don't even think about it." He held me tight. "From now on, I won't let you go anywhere." From that day on, Huishin imprisoned me in this villa. I started a hunger strike, refusing to eat or drink anything every day. Upon hearing this, he sat in front of me holding a bowl. I know I've wronged you, but you shouldn't hurt yourself. From beginning to end, I only said one thing: I want to leave. Leave, go where? Somewhere without you. Why? He asked. I can give you everything you want. I can hold you in the palm of my hand, ensuring you live a life of luxury forever. Or is it that you've fallen for Huichia? I looked at him coldly. What's the difference? Both of you are scum. Please don't force me to choose between chocolate that tastes like shit or shit that tastes like chocolate. Okay. He seemed hurt by my words, remaining silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was slightly hoarse. Xiaoji, the truth is, I actually wanted to marry you properly. That day, I already warned Huichia not to listen to Chia Xinyua's words. Not to say anything to you, to let you get married peacefully, and in the future, I won't let him near you again. I sneered coldly. You were quite generous when you sent me to your brother's bed. His face turned pale. I never thought of it that way. I never let him touch you. That was our rule. I didn't know he would do that. I know you're hurting and feeling wronged right now. Don't worry. I'll arrange for more authoritative doctors and caregivers immediately. I'll make sure you don't suffer at all during the abortion. I won't let Chia Xinyu bully you anymore. I've already bankrupted her family. I'll compensate you with everything I have. Let's pretend nothing ever happened. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. I suddenly raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Dream on. You think I can just forget if you tell me to, as if it were that easy. Huishin turned his face slightly from the force of my blow. He wiped the blood from the corner of his lips. Feel better now? If not, keep going, I said coldly. Get out. After a long silence, he slowly stood up. I'll come back tomorrow. That night in my dream, I curled up under the blanket and dreamed that I was lying on my dorm bed crying. I never told anyone about it. I secretly cried the day Huishin and I broke up in college, but I've grown accustomed to not showing my scars, to silent tears. Did I ever like Huishin? I suppose I did. Otherwise, why would my heart ache so much that night we broke up? Why did it hurt so badly? Why did I spend the whole night reflecting on myself, regretting asking Huishin for a gift? I clearly knew he never liked me in the first place. In my dream, I felt someone gently cover my eyes. He said, "Sweetheart, don't cry, don't cry." The next day, I opened my eyes. The person standing before me was Huichia. Huichia stole me away. He had injuries on his body, with dark bruises on his neck. His eyes were bloodshot, looking like he hadn't slept well for a long time. He said to me, "I'm sorry, I feel somewhat numb. I've heard too many apologies these days." He looked at me with concern. "Did he do anything to you?" I said. "Don't you find it ironic to ask me these things? These two people who keep hurting me, neither is any better than the other." He pressed his lips together. He wanted to ask me why I didn't tell him I was pregnant, but he opened his mouth, only to find himself unable to speak. "Yeah, they said it themselves, got pregnant, and they kicked me out." He knew he had no right to ask again. He clenched his fist. "Xiaoji, you knew this was just a game all along, so this whole year, every time you kissed me, hugged me, entangled with me, every I like you said to me, were they all just an act?" I wanted to say to him, "Yes, you're right, all of it was just an act," but in the end, I let out a long sigh. "Huichia, I'm not a professional actor. You can't fake liking someone. The day you kissed me first, I was so happy I couldn't sleep all night, thinking you'd finally decided to treat me well. I told myself, then I'll repay your kindness doubly. I did think about having a child with you, living a good life together." His pupils trembled violently, the color draining from his face inch by inch. I looked at him, my voice calm as if narrating someone else's story. "I admit, I was overjoyed when you filled the city with fireworks for my birthday, woke me from nightmares, and patiently soothed me to sleep no matter how tired you were. You promised me a grand wedding and talked about having a child together." I believed every word until that day when I overheard those words at the club. I even started leafing through poetry books, secretly imagining what we might name our child. That day, I rushed through the pouring rain to find you. I just wanted to tell you I was pregnant, but I'm not cheap. No one can endure hearing that the person they like is being passed around for fun. I can tell you very clearly now. I hate you all. His eyes grew moist. He raised his hand to touch me but suddenly pulled back, his lips bitten until they bled. "Please, don't sentence me to death like this. At least tell me, what can I do to ease your hatred even a little?" The wind outside rolled dead leaves against the window pane, gazing at the shattered light in his eyes. I whispered, "Let me go." He clenched his fist and drew a trembling breath. After a long pause, Fragmented syllables finally forced their way from his throat. Fine, I'll let you go. 11. Su Yan found out something happened to me at the hospital and was so frightened she wanted to fly back to China immediately to find me. When she rushed to the airport, she found me sitting there in a daze. She threw herself at me, checked me over from head to toe, then hugged me and cried, "They didn't do anything to you, did they?" I patted her head. "Don't worry, there isn't," she cried while saying, "I thought these two lunatics wouldn't let you go without stripping a layer of skin off you. They just let you go like that." Yeah, I thought about it, maybe trying to accumulate some virtue. After that, I never ran into the two Hua brothers again. Su Yan and I lived together, laughing and joking every day, blissfully unaware of the world around us. Occasionally, news from back home would reach us. After Qiao Xinyua's family went bankrupt, she still tried to seek out the wealthy heirs who had once fancied her, hoping they'd help her regain her luxurious lifestyle. But the shady things she once did were exposed, and all the trophies from her prank games were made public. Some internet sleuth doxed her, and the mother of that high school girl who jumped off a building found her, said nothing, and threw sulfuric acid in her face. The Hua family hasn't been doing well these years either, with the two brothers constantly fighting internally, leaving the company in chaos. I heard Hua Shen still hasn't given up on searching for me. But I heard someone tampered with Hua Shen's car. Hua Shen had a car accident and became paralyzed from the waist down. The bullet comments were also in disbelief. How did this group pampering novel deviate so much? Where did this take me? Is this still China? The female lead has become like this. This is completely different from the spoiled, domineering female lead I imagined. Actually, I've thought this for a while. This female lead truly has no moral compass, no bottom line. Playing prank games with others' lives, she totally deserves this outcome. Don't you think the supporting female character is quite adorable too? She doesn't use a child to climb up, cuts ties decisively, leaves without hesitation, not a hint of softness. Another 3 years passed. I met Hua Chia. At that time, I was taking a walk with the little one who had just turned 3, when he saw the little girl in a dress beside me. His eyes lit up. "Xiaoji, is she?" I knew what he wanted to ask. I interrupted him. "It's not yours, I'm married." He remained silent for a long time. Finally, he awkwardly uttered a few words. "Right, that's good too." He left in embarrassment. I breathed a sigh of relief. Actually, I didn't remarry. That day at the abortion clinic with Su Yan, after much hesitation, I ultimately couldn't bring myself to go through with it. A few more years passed, and my daughter grew increasingly beautiful. He's looking more and more like Hua Chia. Hua Chia isn't stupid. Of course he could tell the child was his. All these years, he's been transferring money to my account anonymously, but he didn't dare to come find me. At 7 in the morning, I yawned while curled up in bed. My daughter patted me with her backpack on. "Mom, I'm off to school." I kissed her and said, "Sweetie, remember to bring Mom 2 starch sausages after school. Extra cumin please." My daughter laughed. "Got it, my gluttonous mom, extra." The day Hua Chia let Xiaoji go. He actually wanted to say something all along. At first, it was indeed following Qiao Xinyua's words, coming to prank her, but Xiaoji was too well behaved, crying silently like a kitten. When she cried, he found his own heart aching in sync with her sobs. Unconsciously, he found himself beginning to fall for her. At first, it was sweet. But gradually, he began to fear Xiaoji discovering the truth. He was immersed in the lies he had woven, desperately trying to be good to her. He wanted to live a good life with Xiaoji, but he didn't know whether Xiaoji truly liked Hua Shen or himself. He even wanted to make Xiaoji pregnant with his child, using the child to gain status. This was his only chance of winning. On the wedding day, he wanted her to know the truth, yet feared her knowing it. Had enough fun. When are you switching back? As for her, be gentle when revealing the truth. Tell everyone that he loves her deeply and dearly. On the day Xiaoji was caught having an abortion, Hua Shen went mad, gripping his neck. "Who allowed you to touch her?" He had never gone this crazy before. Hua Chia thought, perhaps Hua Shen loved her too. Those two people really got what they deserved. He wanted to tell Xiaoji that he had told many lies, but the one thing that was true was his love for her. But the words stuck in his throat, impossible to utter. He thought, forget it, this love that can't see the light, better not tell her. Don't disgust her anymore. Her future life should take the broad road, go to where there is light. He shouldn't be on that road. Story 2. Lu Zhili threatened me with my parents' jobs to force me to donate a kidney to his white moonlight. The man smiled gently. Wife, do you want to see your parents sleeping on the streets? I finally compromised. After coming out of the operating room, I asked him for a divorce. On the day Lu Jili officially announced his relationship with his white moonlight, I died in a plane accident. So, I was reborn back to when I was 17 years old. I no longer pestered Lu Jili. I stayed away from him and his white moonlight. Then I found Song Pei, who would become a business tycoon in the future but was just a poor student at that time. I clung to him in advance and kept building up my favorability in front of him. All just to ask him to take me to make money together in the future. Song Pei was afraid of being bullied and always clung to me pitifully and helplessly, but later, I caught him with blood all over his hands. He almost beat the senior who confessed to me to death. 1. It took me 3 minutes to realize that I had been reborn 6 years ago. This year, I was a sophomore in high school, 17 years old. Hey, Jinan. What are you standing there for? It's your turn to speak. The president of the student union shouted my name loudly from the stage. I realized that I had returned to the day of the art festival's host election. The male host was decided to be Lu Jili. I was competing with his white moonlight, Shening, for the position of female host. When I was making my last speech to canvass for votes, Shening was suddenly hit by a falling light bulb from the ceiling. Several bloodstains were cut on her neck by the fragments of the lamp tube. Lu Jili ran onto the stage, picked up Shening, and left. Because she withdrew from the election halfway, I was directly appointed as the female host, but on the day of the art festival, Lu Jili cut my dress backstage. I tightly grasped the hem of the skirt and said in a hoarse voice, "The incident where Shening was hit by the lamp was not done by me." He played with the folding knife in his hand with a half-smile. Who knows, after all, it's well known that you can't stand her. Even if it wasn't you, consider this as a warning to you this time. Listen up, don't mess with Shening in the future. I had to hastily put on an ill-fitting dress and go on stage to host, but I was still affected by Lu Jili, and my state was not good throughout the whole process. As a result, I was reprimanded by the student union for 2 hours after it was over. 2. I woke up from my memories. I looked up at the lamp above Shenying's head not far away. It was already swaying precariously. Without thinking too much, I ran over and pushed Shening away. The next second, the lamp tube fell and exploded on the ground. As soon as I reached out and touched Shenying's arm, I was suddenly pulled away, and fell back to the ground again. Lu Jili put one arm around Shening, his eyes cold. Try touching her again. My knee was scraped, and blood oozed out. I couldn't help but let out a soft hiss. Someone around hesitated and said, "Brother Ji, it seems there's a misunderstanding." Jinan pushed Shening away to prevent the lamp tube from hitting her. Lu Jili's eyes showed a slight daze. After being reborn, I didn't want to say a word to him. I propped myself up on the ground and stood up. I looked at the president of the student union. I give up the election. I need to deal with the wound, so I won't make the last speech. Everyone opened their mouths in surprise, as if they couldn't believe that I would give up the opportunity to be on stage with Lu Jili. The president replied a beat slower, "Okay, then be careful." When I left, rubbing my knee, I heard the continuous discussions behind me. Damn, she's giving up out of anger because Brother Ji is protecting Shening. Right, obviously, but it's good that Brother Ji can have 2 days of peace, otherwise, she's like a tail, extremely annoying. 2 days, I bet she won't be able to help but look for Brother Ji this afternoon. I sighed silently. It seems that I was really infatuated in the past, which led everyone to have such a stereotype of me. 3. In my previous life, after getting married, Lu Jili threatened me with my parents' jobs to donate a kidney to Shening. He affectionately rubbed the diamond ring on my knuckles, and slowly warned me, "Everything in this house is premarital property, wife. If you try to take it to support your parents, remember to be prepared for them to be sued by the Lu family." Actually, even if my parents lost their jobs, the family's savings would be enough, but Lu Jili's assistant hinted to me, "For Miss Shen, the boss will spare no expense. If you don't want your parents to encounter fraud or be blackmailed with exorbitant amounts, it's best to agree to donate the kidney as soon as possible." This matter has always been a psychological shadow for me, so in this new life, making money is listed as the most important thing for me, and I need to make a lot of money. Only then will I not be easily threatened, only then will I have the right to refuse. I was thinking as I walked, until I passed by the bulletin board. I saw Song Pei's photo in the scholarship section. The boy had a handsome face, and there was an almost indifferent stillness in his eyes. He was very different from what he would look like 6 years later. I remembered the media's evaluation of him that year. He single-handedly built a new business empire and is an unparalleled existence among the new generation of business tycoons. 4. At this time, in everyone's eyes, Song Pei was just a withdrawn and extremely good, scoring poor student in our class. I planned to take a shortcut, cling to Sanpei's thigh in advance and keep building up my favorability in front of him, so that I could ask him to take me to make money together in the future. After applying the medicine, I returned to the classroom before the end of the lunch break. My eyes swept over Sanpei's seat. I pursed my lips and ultimately didn't say anything. Showing excessive kindness for no reason would probably make me seem like a bad person. Until the class dinner on Friday evening, I casually sat next to Sanpei as if by accident. I stole glances at him from time to time, so focused that I only noticed Lu Zhili staring at me for a long time. When I looked up, I looked over with a puzzled look in my eyes. He coldly moved his eyes away. Is he crazy? Lu Zhili and those rich young masters always looked down on Sanpei. Even during a meal, they deliberately picked on him. A brother of Lu Zhili spun the dining table turntable. Pointedly, he said, "Everyone, eat to your heart's content. The owner of this restaurant knows me, so he's willing to give us this low price that we usually don't get, otherwise. For this restaurant, some people usually can hardly afford to eat here." He stopped spinning. A plate full of peppers stopped in front of Sanpei. He smiled heartily at Sanpei. "Student Song, don't be polite, eat." Sanpei had a weak stomach. He had a recurrence of stomach problems twice during class and was sent to the hospital. He couldn't possibly not know that, obviously. He was deliberately humiliating Sanpei. Sanpei didn't pick up his chopsticks. Everyone around the dining table was quiet. Those who couldn't stand it just gritted their teeth and didn't dare to speak. After all, these young masters were not to be trifled with. However, a person who has died once has a different mindset. I reached out and turned the turntable, returning a smile to the boy. "Thank you, then I won't be polite." I turned a bowl of Chinese yam and pork rib soup in front of myself. Without looking up, I picked up Sanpei's bowl, filled it with a full bowl of ribs, and put it back in front of him. "Sorry, I took the wrong bowl." Sanpei looked at me and said nothing. Under the complicated gazes of everyone, I filled another bowl for myself. Then I took a small sip. I looked up and smiled at the boy. "It really tastes different from what I've had in ordinary restaurants. You were actually able to lower the price for us." I made an exaggerated sound of admiration. "You're really amazing." The boy blushed from being praised. "Ah, it's nothing. If you like it, drink more. Ask the waiter to add more when you're done. I'll pay." Sure enough, child psychology is most suitable for such an idiot. The monitor timely enlivened the atmosphere. Everyone started to eat. Sanpei didn't touch the soup. I smoothly started a conversation. "Don't you like ribs? Which dish do you want to eat? I'll turn it for you." Sanpei didn't answer. His eyes moved from the soup to my face, examining me. There was a faint sneer in his eyes. "Just say it. What's your purpose?" The big shot saw through my kindness at a glance. With a bit of shame from being exposed, I said sincerely, "My physics is too poor. I want to ask you to help me with tutoring. As a reward, I can bring you breakfast every day." Sanpei smiled faintly, but it was cold enough. I spoke before he could open his mouth. "You think I must have some other purpose and don't believe it's that simple, right?" The boy's eyes were as dark as lacquer. I shook my head and smiled, not being affected at all. "It doesn't matter. I will prove it to you." Sanpei tightly pursed his lips and still said nothing, but a moment later, he drank that bowl of soup. 5. After the dinner, I said goodbye to Sanpei. I walked home alone along the tree-shaded path. A black car slowly stopped beside me. The rear window rolled down, revealing Shining and Lu Zhili. Shining greeted me with a smile. "Jinan, do you need us to give you a ride?" I refused. "My home is very close." Her eyes became meaningful. "Is it so close and Sanpei still doesn't see you off?" "Oh, he's really an incompetent boyfriend. Unlike Aji, he always asks the driver to take me home first." Lu Zhili was sitting on the inside. Half of his face was hidden in the shadows, and his expression was unclear. I didn't care whether she and Lu Zhili were together or not, but I absolutely couldn't tolerate rumors. Sanpei still disliked me now. If unfounded rumors spread because of me, he would definitely be angry. I stared at Shining, my voice a bit cold. "Where did you see that Sanpei is my boyfriend? If he's not your boyfriend, why did you step in?" It was Lu Zhili who answered. He got out of the car, slammed the car door, and walked in front of me, his gaze fixed on the corner of my mouth. "If he's not your boyfriend, could you chat with him so happily? Do you know how many times you smiled at him tonight?" His anger came out of nowhere, but instinctively, I wanted to stay away from Lu Zhili. "Sanpei and I are just ordinary classmates. I just couldn't stand you targeting him tonight." After saying that, I directly walked around him and left in a hurry. I didn't know how far I had walked. Suddenly, there was a rapid sound of footsteps behind me, almost at the same time. My arm was grabbed. I turned around and met Lu Jili's eyes. For a moment, I had the illusion of being back in my previous life, being locked in a villa by him and forced to donate a kidney. I was so scared that I let out a scream. Lu Jili frowned. It's me. I struggled desperately. Let me go. Lu Jili pulled me into his arms and gently stroked my back. His tone was gentle as if he was coaxing someone. Okay, don't be afraid. It's me. I'm Lu Jili. I desperately pushed his shoulders and cried anxiously, let me go, let me go. Lu Jili's body froze for a moment, and then he slowly let go. I immediately took several steps back until my back touched the wall before I felt a little more secure. The night was thick, and I couldn't see the emotions in his eyes. I only heard him ask in confusion, Jinan, are you afraid of me? I raised the back of my hand to wipe away my tears. Please stay away from me in the future. I don't like you anymore now. And I don't want to have any intersection with you, Jinan. Lu Jili interrupted me. With a cold arc on his lips, with an extremely arrogant look in his eyes, he asked, what are you being self-indulgent about? Has it ever been me who took the initiative to provoke you? I endured my sobs and nodded seriously. Please rest assured, I will never pester you again. After a long time, Lu Jili casually placed the plastic bag in his hand on the lid of the trash can next to him. You'd better do what you say. It wasn't until he walked away that I stepped forward to see what was in the plastic bag. There were several boxes of ointment for external injuries. I moved my fingertips. I gently stroked the scar on my knee, but it had clearly already healed. 6. After that day, Lu Jili completely treated me like air. I let out a sigh of relief. I could focus more on building up my favorability in front of Song Pei. He got first place in the exam again, and I stuffed a warm milk tea into his hand. Wow, Song Pei, you're really amazing. You've always been the top student in the grade and have never dropped down. Song Pei twirled a pen with his fingertips, with a half smile. Do you think this kind of talk will work on me? Child psychology really only applies to idiots. I didn't admit it. With a serious face, I said, I really think you're amazing. Song Pei glanced at me a few times indifferently. For the sake of making a lot of money in the future, I wasn't discouraged. I stewed soup to nourish his stomach and brought it to school in a thermos. When the head teacher praised him in class, I would be the first to applaud for him. Even when he worked part-time in a coffee shop on weekends, I would go to accompany him. Song Pei seemed to be desensitized to me. He didn't reject me following him around often. In the coffee shop, another part-time boy shook his head with emotion. Song Pei, stop being coy. Such a cute girl is chasing you. Why don't you agree? Song Pei lowered his eyes and was putting ice cubes into a cup, as if he didn't hear. I was stunned. I looked up and stuttered to explain to the boy. I'm not chasing Song Pei. We're just friends. The ice cube Song Pei picked up slipped and fell to the ground. I turned my head and met his dark and unclear eyes. I blinked hesitantly. Do you also think I'm chasing you? Song Pei bent down to pick up the ice cube and threw it into the trash can. He calmly denied it. No, I never thought that. He methodically ground the coffee, as if the strong emotions that had briefly shown just now were just my illusion. 7. Although Song Pei didn't think too much, but being misunderstood as liking him twice in a row also made me start to reflect on whether I had been building up my favorability too frequently. If Song Pei heard rumors about me and him again, he might instead get tired of me. I no longer brought soup for Song Pei. I also didn't look for him or stick to him frequently. Several times after class, I would inadvertently meet Song Pei's eyes. Across several rows of distance, he looked at me quietly. His thin figure made him seem indescribably frail. It made me unbearably soft-hearted. So I planned to go to the coffee shop where he worked part-time to accompany him this Saturday. However, Song Pei's vulnerability didn't allow me to wait until Saturday. During the free activity time of the physical education class, Song Pei sat alone in the pavilion, pressing his stomach with his hand. Even though I was standing a bit far away, I could see his trembling shoulders. I quickly ran over and squatted in front of him. Song Pei, what's wrong with you? Is your stomach problem acting up again? The boy's face was pale, and he tightly pursed his lips as if enduring great pain. He softly let out a leaning on the pillar. He staggered to his feet. I'm going to the infirmary first. I'll help you go there. Song Pei dodged the hand I reached out. No need, it's too much trouble for you. In a hurry, I directly pressed his arm on my shoulder. What are you talking about, Song Pei? Why are you being so polite to me all of a sudden? Song Pei lowered his eyes slightly and said softly, you already dislike me, don't you? He gently brushed away my hand and pressed his own stomach. Jinan, I don't need to be pitted. It's just an ordinary stomach problem. I won't die from it. I can go to the infirmary by myself. You can continue to avoid suspicion. Songpei was in so much pain that he couldn't stand steadily. After saying that, he slumped back onto the bench, his forehead covered in fine sweat. I immediately stepped forward to support him and coaxed him incoherently. I don't dislike you. Let me help you go there, okay? Please don't be stubborn now. The boy didn't move. Songpei, can you be more obedient? I was so anxious that I was on the verge of crying. Finally, he raised his hand and placed it on me, and his head also rested on my neck. He murmured hoarsely, "It hurts so much." The shell of his forced indifference cracked, revealing a trace of grievance. I felt too guilty to say anything. Almost half of Songpei's body was leaning on me, but somehow, it didn't feel very heavy. When we arrived at the infirmary, there was already another group of people inside. The school doctor was giving instructions to Lu Zhili, who was surrounded in the middle. "The injury on your wrist is quite serious. You won't be able to play basketball recently. I'm going to that building to get the ointment for you now. Wait for me for a while." Lu Zhili indifferently withdrew his gaze that was looking at us. Okay. I helped Songpei sit down in the place furthest away from them. But we still couldn't avoid being talked about. "Hey, what's the situation with these two people? Didn't Jinan like brother Ji to death? Is she changing her target now?" Songpei's lips were dry and pale. I asked him in a low voice, "Do you want to drink some hot water?" He nodded slightly. I fetched a cup of hot water and placed it in his palm, but Songpei didn't have much strength in his hand and couldn't hold the cup. I sighed and took the water cup and brought it to Songpei's mouth to feed him. Damn, she's even feeding him. She's never been this good to brother Ji. You can tell that she really likes our poor student who's a top student. Suddenly, there was a sound of a chair being thrown on the ground behind us. Lu Zhili left the infirmary expressionlessly and slammed the door so hard that it made a deafening noise. The doorframe trembled and bounced back to its original position. Lu Zhili's brothers looked at each other. Why is brother Ji suddenly angry? Is it because he didn't make that last three-pointer? That makes sense. 8. Not long after, only Songpei and I were left in the infirmary. He seemed to be feeling a bit better than half an hour ago. Playing with the empty paper cup in his hand, he gave a meaningless smile. "So you like someone like Lu Zhili? I really can't compare with him. And it's no wonder you try to avoid me. Being misunderstood as liking someone like me." He curved his lips, and it was hard to tell the hint of self-mockery in his understated tone. "It's really disgusting." I didn't speak for a long time. Songpei's expression was calm, but he was gripping the paper cup in his hand tighter and tighter. He almost crumpled it into a ball. "Oh, so he's asunder a puppy." I reached out and cupped his face in my hands. I leaned in and tilted my head to observe him carefully. "Jinan, shoo, don't talk. Let me see what's so disgusting." I pretended to be serious. "You're clearly more good-looking than Lu Zhili. You're also better at your studies than him, and your personality is better too." The boy's obscure eyes locked tightly onto me. A stubborn puppy needs to be praised to help regain his confidence. I let go of him. "Just like teaching a child, Songpei. Don't say such things about yourself in the future." He drooped his eyelids and said softly, "But you suddenly ignored me." "I'm sorry," I explained sullenly. "I thought you disliked others misunderstanding our relationship, so I tried to avoid suspicion." Songpei naturally leaned his head on my shoulder. "I only dislike it when you ignore me." I couldn't help but freeze. He leaned on me on the way here out of necessity, but this situation now, could it be too intimate? Songpei noticed the sudden change in my body. He looked up and said, "I'm in pain, and I can't sit still properly. Nan, if I lean on you like this, will you dislike me?" I was as stiff as a scarecrow, but I was afraid that refusing would hurt his self-esteem, so I still shook my head casually. "No, of course not. It's normal for friends to lean on each other's shoulders, right?" He curved his lips and leaned back on my left shoulder. 9. I looked at the big bag of stomach medicine that the school doctor prescribed for Songpei with a headache. I had almost nursed Songpei's stomach problem back to health. Now it's back to square one. He can't take care of himself at all when he's away from me. At noon, I went to the cafeteria with him for a meal. 2 canteen ants pushing a food cart walked past us from behind, clicking their tongues constantly. Do kids nowadays have psychological problems? This morning, I saw a really good-looking boy put a large spoonful of chili peppers into his porridge. I saw that he was sweating so much from the discomfort, but he kept drinking it. It was really scary to watch. Songpei stood beside me, his eyebrows and eyes showing no emotion. I casually reminded him, "You have a weak stomach, so avoid spicy food." He raised the back of his hand and gently rubbed my side face. There was a faint, casual look in his eyebrows and eyes. "Don't worry, I never touch chili peppers." 10. Songpei took the initiative to offer to help me with my physics. To make the tutoring more convenient, When we were reassigned seats again not long after, Songpei and I would become desk mates, but at the same time, Lu Jili was also assigned to sit in the row behind me. During the self-study class, I dragged my 5-year college entrance examination 3-year simulation book over and asked in a low voice, Songpei, do you have time to explain this question to me? He wrote out the detailed solution process on the draft paper. I immediately understood it and gave a small smile. Thank you. Can you be quieter? Lu Jili suddenly spoke up, not bothering to lower his voice. The whole class looked over. He threw the pen on the desk, with his arms crossed and leaning against the back of the chair. His face was cold and expressionless. Is the self-study class for you to explain questions? I had already lowered my voice to the minimum. Moreover, Songpei hadn't even opened his mouth. Besides, there had always been a continuous murmur of discussions in the class. It was obvious that Lu Jili was deliberately picking a fight. I stared at him, holding back my anger. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Songpei, on the other hand, maintained his usual calm demeanor. He said gently and politely to Lu Jili, don't make things difficult for Nan Nan. Classmate, I apologize to you. Can we let this go? Lu Jili sneered and gave him a disdainful look. Who the hell are you? I tugged at Songpei's sleeve. Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't even say anything. Songpei comforted me in a nonchalant tone. I'm used to it. Apologizing can solve the problem, and there's no need to make a big deal out of it. He casually raised his eyebrows. It's not like we have to change seats. Change seats. Songpei's casual words reminded me. Lu Jili couldn't stand us. If we keep sitting together, he will definitely keep targeting us in the future. It's better to separate and sit apart now. I grabbed Songpei, who was about to apologize. Let's pack our things. We'll change seats after class. I snorted softly. Let's stay away from him. Lu Jili got even angrier for no apparent reason. He suddenly stood up, and the chair was knocked over. His gaze locked tightly onto me, and there was a storm suppressed in his eyes. Gee, Nan, I was completely confused. Lu Jili's deskmate's gaze shifted back and forth between us. Suddenly, he let out 2 exclamations and apologized repeatedly. Sorry. Brother Ji has just been in a bad mood recently. He definitely didn't mean to target you guys on purpose. Why change seats? It hasn't been long since the last seat change. If you apply to change seats again now, the homeroom teacher won't agree either. After saying that, he quickly picked up Lu Jili's chair and tugged at his sleeve. Lu Jili sat back down. His expression was gloomy, but he didn't say anything more. His deskmate patted his chest and promised, if something like this happens again today, I definitely won't stop you if you want to change seats. Okay, I thought about it and felt that it was acceptable, but I still turned to Songpei first to ask for his opinion. Songpei slowly retracted his gaze that had been fixed on Lu Jili's deskmate's face. His smile was faint. Sure. He casually twirled the pen placed on the test paper. Why not? 11. The group around Lu Jili had an inexplicable amount of malice towards Songpei. During the long break between classes, they were tossing a ball back and forth in the classroom. A few of them exchanged glances and purposefully threw the ball towards Songpei, who was sitting beside me. Lu Jili leaned against the door, watching coldly. Almost instinctively, I stood in front of Songpei. In that instant, all I thought about was not wanting him to get hurt. It wasn't any other action with a specific purpose. The wind brought by the incoming basketball rushed straight towards my face, but a second before it hit me, Lu Jili intercepted it. He threw the ball to the ground. There was an obvious look of on his face. Lu Jili grabbed me and roughly pulled me out of the classroom. Let me go. Lu Jili. At the end of the corridor, he let go of my hand, and I stumbled 2 steps and barely managed to stand still. My anger surged to my head. I raised my hand and slapped him without hesitation, my voice trembling with anger. What are you going crazy for? Did I provoke you again? Since I was reborn, I've been trying my best to stay away from him. Why can't I still get rid of him? Lu Jili stepped towards me aggressively. What were you doing just now? If I hadn't intercepted that ball, your nose bridge would have been broken. Do you know that, Jinan? What exactly is your relationship with Songpei that's worth you protecting him like this? He pressed me against the wall, and a low pressure like an approaching storm emanated from him. Have you forgotten that you originally liked me? Huh. I wasn't surprised at all by Lu Jili's sudden outburst of anger. Obviously, he just couldn't stand the fact that someone who had always been chasing after him suddenly stopped. I didn't have the patience to explain to him. I lowered my head and bit hard on the wrist that was holding me. Taking advantage of the moment he loosened his grip, I pushed him away and ran away. 10. I was prepared to be targeted by Lu Jili, but he took a leave of absence without any warning. He took a leave for a whole week. When I saw him again, his face was sickly pale, his pitch-black eyes were as still as stagnant water. It was even more terrifying than his crazy appearance a week ago. Our eyes met. I couldn't help but think of what Lou Gilly would look like 6 years later. Sweat seeped out from my palms. Throughout the morning break, he sat quietly behind me, all the way until school was over at noon. Songpei was called to the head teacher's office by the head teacher and talked for most of the class, and he still hadn't come back after school. I went to the cafeteria alone and, by the way, packed some light dishes for Songpei, but just as I walked out of the teaching building, a hand reached out from behind and covered my mouth, and I was carried to the alley behind the teaching building. Almost no one passed by here. Lou Gilly bent his knee and pressed against my legs, pinning me against the wall. One hand grabbed both of my wrists, the other hand covered the lower half of my face. I couldn't move and couldn't make a sound. I could only stare at him furiously. Lou Gilly didn't care at all. He bent down and buried his forehead in my neck. He took a breath almost greedily. Nan, I'm back. I only felt a sudden chill rise from my back and instantly spread throughout my body. My blood seemed to freeze. Lou Gilly in his youth had never called me Nan. He raised his head again. My eyes were fixed in surprise. In his eyes, there was the paranoia and morbidity that belonged only to Lou Gilly 6 years later. Last time, we got married 4 years later. This time, let's do it earlier. Shall we get engaged right after graduation? He calmly said crazy words. Or we can directly go abroad to get the marriage certificate after graduation. The word marriage forcefully dragged me back to that suffocating memory of married life. I stared at Lou Gilly's still young face in front of me. I dissuaded him incoherently. Shining isn't sick yet. You can take better care of her and take her for regular checkups and such. Lou Gilly, please let me go. Okay. You will definitely be able to find another kidney source. Just let me go this time, can't you? My speech speed got faster and faster, and in the end, I almost shouted it out. Lou Gilly remained unmoved. I've explained to you more than once, I have no feelings for Shining at all. I only like you. I forced you to donate a kidney because she saved my life when we were young. I owe her my life. I didn't believe his words at all. No one likes someone in this way. I pushed him away when he was distracted and took the opportunity to run outside, but just as I ran onto the main road, he caught up with me and tightly grabbed my wrist again. Nan, listen to me, you're hurting her. Songpei happened to run into us when he came back from the office building. He unceremoniously swatted away Lou Gilly's hand and stood in front of me. The moment Lou Gilly saw him, his anger flared up. Get lost. Lou Gilly grabbed Songpei by the collar and threw him out. After taking several steps back, Songpei's head hit the half-built steel frame beside him. Songpei let out a muffled groan and slid down the wall, leaning against it. Songpei. I threw myself in front of him. He had a cut on his forehead, and a few drops of blood were flowing down. Songpei seemed a bit dizzy, and his eyelids were gradually closing. I called his name in a trembling voice. Don't fall asleep. We're going to the hospital right now. He propped himself up on the frame and stood up, leaning on me. Blood dripped onto the ground, and he still had the leisure to curve his lips and smile. Don't be afraid, I won't pass out. He could barely stand steadily himself, yet he still pulled me behind him. He glanced at Lou Gilly. I still have to protect you. My heart seemed to skip a beat, but because the scene was too chaotic, I didn't have time to feel it carefully. When I supported Songpei and walked past Lou Gilly towards the school gate, after a long silence, he finally spoke. I didn't push him hard, he bumped into it himself. Nan. He raised his hand as if to hold mine. I dodged and supported Songpei to walk around him. Lou Gilly's movement paused, as if he was nailed in midair. Is it really that hard to trust me just once? His voice was so soft that it melted into the wind, carrying a hint of helplessness. It seemed that he was always asking me to believe him. In my previous life, he made me believe that he only liked me. Then, in order to make me donate a kidney to Shining, he pushed me to the verge of a mental breakdown several times. 11. In the hospital consultation room, Songpei had a bandage wrapped around his forehead and was waiting to get a tetanus shot. I kept chattering and giving him instructions. Songpei, thank you for protecting me like this, but Lou Gilly has learned martial arts. You can't beat him. Don't do this again in the future. He won't hit me, but he'll knock you out with one punch. Songpei seemed to have heard some absurd joke. What? I can't beat him. I shook his shoulders and said righteously, it's true. You saw how far he pushed you without even using much force. If he used his full strength, you wouldn't be able to resist at all. Songpei stumbled for a moment and continued to argue. I tripped over the steel bar. I said helplessly, okay, Song-Pei grabbed me as I was about to leave. You don't believe me. I fell silent and looked into his eyes. I expressed my mixed feelings with my eyes. Don't you know how weak you are? You couldn't even stand steadily when you had a stomachache. You fell down with just a gentle push. You're so tall for nothing. I feel like you can't even beat me. But when I opened my mouth, I still took into account his self-esteem as a boy. No, I believe you. I'll go get your medicine. You wait here for the injection. Song-Pei let out a disbelieving snort and was about to say something more. I hurried out. As I walked, I sighed. I thought Song-Pei was different. In fact, he's also very naive and likes to be brave, but surprisingly, I don't dislike it. I even find it a bit endearing with the contrast. 12. Lu Zhili was like a persistent ghost. He blocked my way after school. I rubbed my eyebrows impatiently. What on earth do you want? I want you to stay away from Song-Pei. Lu Zhili took a step closer to me and looked at me firmly, saying, he has ulterior motives for you. Lu Zhili didn't hide his possessiveness at all. I suddenly thought that he might really like me a bit, but, Lu Zhili, I seem to have forgotten to tell you something. What? Afraid that he wouldn't believe me. I deliberately enunciated each word clearly and firmly. I drew a clear line between him and me with one sentence. I stopped liking you a long time ago. The warm yellow light of the street lamp couldn't even shine into the boy's dark eyes. He turned his face away and said in a cold tone, I didn't come back to life just to hear you say these things. I wasn't reborn just to be threatened by you to donate a kidney again. Lu Zhili's jaw tensed, and he said sternly, I won't do that again. Is this thing just impossible to let go of, right? He stepped towards me aggressively until my back was against the wall. What do I have to do for you to act like it never happened and start over with me? Tell me. With nowhere left to retreat, I actually calmed down. I stood on tiptoe, grabbed his collar, and pulled him down to bend over. Lu Zhili, if you don't let me go, I'll die with you. Anyway, I've already died once. I looked into his eyes. It was on the day when your relationship with Shenning was exposed and made it to the trending searches. If the result of being reborn is to return to the track of my previous life and suffer again, then I'd rather die, and I want to drag Lu Zhili to die with me. I let go of him, pushed him hard against the wall behind me, and turned around to leave. When I completely walked out of the alley, a hoarse voice sounded behind me. That was just the media hyping it up. Then he laughed and said, forget it, it's quite boring anyway. Anyway, no matter what I say, you won't believe me. The sound of footsteps got closer. Lu Zhili walked past me without looking sideways and left. When his tall and straight back completely disappeared from my sight, I let out a sigh of relief. He let me go. 13. After that day, Lu Zhili went back to the state of ignoring me as if I didn't exist. The date of the art festival was getting closer and closer, and the strong atmosphere filled every corner of the school. It temporarily suppressed the heavy atmosphere brought about by the upcoming college entrance examination. Lu Zhili and Shenning went in and out together every day, holding the host scripts, and Song-Pei was also forcefully signed up for a piano performance by the head teacher. He was just as good-looking as Lu Zhili, but influenced by factors such as his personality and family background, he wasn't as popular as Lu Zhili, however. On the stage of the art festival, under the spotlight, the dancing light and shadow fell on his slightly drooping eyelashes, his delicate and superior side face, and his fingertips on the black and white keys. Song-Pei got a chance to be recognized anew. Damn it, why didn't I realize that the top student in our grade was so handsome before? The male protagonist in a novel has stepped into reality. I'm changing my favorite idol. Goodbye, Lu Zhili, you guys are going too far. I still think Lu Zhili is a bit more handsome. Song-Pei suddenly became the center of attention. When his performance was almost over, I ran to the backstage with a bouquet of blue and white flowers and waited for him. During that time, Lu Zhili appeared behind me holding a microphone. Classmate, excuse me. His voice was cold and distant. The place where I was standing was blocking his way to wait for his turn, holding the large bouquet of flowers. I clumsily took a few steps back to make way for him. Lu Zhili walked past me expressionlessly. We were like two strangers who had never known each other. When Song-Pei came down from the stage, I was just about to step forward with the flowers. A girl trotted past me. She was also looking for Song-Pei. Classmate, can I add you on WeChat? I'm also learning the piano. Can I consult you if I have something I don't understand? The girl was trying hard to hold back her shyness and didn't dare to look at Song-Pei. I blinked quietly. I was quite tactful and stopped to wait aside. The feeling of loss was like the bubbling in a boiling kettle, making the lid creak. It was so noisy that it made people feel restless. Song-Pei refused her very neatly. Sorry. The girl bit her lip lightly. Why? He raised his eyes and suddenly looked at me. As if thinking about his words, he slowly said, because he's poor. Shining stood not far away and chimed in casually, besides going to school, he's always doing part-time jobs. Where does he have the time to teach you the piano? Lu Jili beside her was reciting the script as if it had nothing to do with him. The girl furrowed her brows and asked Song Pei for confirmation. Is that true? Song Pei drooped his eyes, hiding all his emotions. His Adam's apple rolled slightly, and he let out a soft laugh. Really? I forgot to mention that I'm a poor student. He pulled the corners of his lips, nodded, and his voice also dropped. I almost forgot that I'm a poor student. I stuffed the flowers into Song Pei's arms and smiled happily. I tried to spread my good mood to him. Song Pei, you played super well. Congratulations on the success of your performance. I turned around and aimed at Shining. At least us ordinary people have a healthy body. She stared at me. What do you mean, miss? Have you had regular physical checkups? Are all your indicators normal? For example, is your kidney and other organs healthy? I kindly reminded her. After all, if you get a disease that requires a kidney transplant, it's very likely that even if you have money, you won't be able to find a kidney source. After saying that, I pulled Song Pei and left. I didn't care what expression Lu Jili had in this life. My parents have been transferred to work in a foreign branch office. He can't threaten me anymore. 14. There were more and more girls pursuing Song Pei, amidst the feeling of annoyance that arose again and again because girls came to chat him up and ask for his contact information. I realized that I had fallen in love with Song Pei, but he seemed to only regard me as his best friend. With the college entrance examination approaching, I could only suppress my secret love for the time being and study hard for the exam. I have to try my best to get into the same school as Song Pei before I can have a chance to pursue him. Fortunately, I hadn't completely forgotten the questions from the college entrance examination in my previous life. I had a deep impression of the Chinese composition, the English composition, and 2 particularly difficult questions. With this advantage, I successfully got into the same university as Song Pei. After filling out the college application forms, we climbed a mountain together. Just past the halfway point of the mountain, I gradually couldn't keep up with Song Pei's pace and was panting heavily. Song Pei knelt down in front of me. Shall I carry you up? No. I pressed an ice-cold mineral water bottle against my flushed face to cool down. Your physical condition is already weak, and you haven't had a rest during this period when you were doing tutoring. If you carry me, we'll both be exhausted before we reach the top of the mountain. The mineral water bottle in Song Pei's hand, which still had half a bottle of water in it, was suddenly squeezed out of shape. He gave me a sideways look, and his smile was cold. The next second I sensed the danger. He picked me up by the backs of my legs and carried me in his arms. Song Pei, you're being stubborn again. I shook my legs in dissatisfaction. Put me down quickly. The hand that the boy had across my back suddenly loosened a bit. I was so scared that I quickly wrapped my hands around his neck. We were so close that I almost touched his forehead. Song Pei had a lazy smile on his face. Do you still want me to put you down? The glimmers in his eyes made me dazed for a moment. I turned my eyes away awkwardly and whispered my accusation. Song Pei, you've become naughty now. The sun in the afternoon was still very strong. It was so hot that my ears felt like they were about to be cooked. 15. Not only did Song Pei really carry me to the top of the mountain, moreover, he was still breathing relatively steadily. I widened my eyes. Did you keep exercising in the past few months because your self-confidence was hurt by me last time? Song Pei, he didn't seem to want to talk to me and went to the other side to take a look. I found a tree to lean against and sat down to enjoy the cool. Before I could admire the different scenery at the top of the mountain, a sudden sharp pain shot through my neck. The cold and slippery tail of a snake swept across the back of my neck. Ah! Song Pei heard the sound and ran back. The little snake that bit me had just slithered into the grass and run away. I was so scared that I burst into tears, but I still maintained a stiff sitting posture and didn't dare to move. What should we do? Song Pei, could the snake be poisonous? Song Pei squatted in front of me, wiped my tears, and soothed me in a low voice. It's not poisonous, Nan Nan, don't be afraid. I held his hand uneasily. Really? His gaze fixed on the wound on my neck. I couldn't tell what he was thinking. After a long time, he said, of course, it would be safer to suck it out. Song Pei raised his eyes and stared straight at me. Do you need me to do that? I didn't dare to hesitate for too long, for fear that if it was really poisonous, it would spread. Then, be careful, don't swallow it yourself. The area of skin that Song Pei was holding in his mouth was a sensitive part. It felt a bit itchy when his lips rubbed against it, and I instinctively leaned back to avoid it. Songpei put his hand on the back of my neck and stopped my movement. Don't move. His voice sounded a bit muffled. I don't know how long it took, but I had crumpled the fabric of the windbreaker on his shoulder. Songpei, isn't it done yet? The head that was pressed against my neck moved slightly, almost, from the moment he let me go until we went down the mountain. I buried the lower half of my face in my collar and was too embarrassed to look up at him. It was only when I got home that I realized a hickey had formed at the wound on my neck. 16. At the end of August, the new semester started for freshmen. While I was waiting for Songpei at the school gate, I met someone I didn't expect. Lu Zhili stood in front of me, his hand resting on the handle of his suitcase. With a calm expression and indifferent eyebrows, he said, Jinan, I've tried. I can't like anyone else except you. My voice turned cold. I've also said that I don't like you anymore. I know. He pulled my suitcase and walked towards the girls' dormitory. His tone was flat, as if he had already expected this. It doesn't matter. Nan, I'll pursue you again. Lu Zhili walked too fast. With a crossbody bag on my shoulder, I trotted all the way but still couldn't catch up with him. He carried the suitcase and delivered it to the door of my dormitory. I was gasping for breath and too tired to have the energy to scold him for the moment. My other 3 roommates had already arrived. Hello, one of them greeted me. Your boyfriend is really handsome. Is he also a student of our school? Lu Zhili clarified quickly. We're not in a relationship. I'm pursuing her unilaterally. I suppressed my anger and pushed him out of the dormitory building. Lu Zhili, I can tell you clearly now. I don't like you, and I won't like you in the future either. Stop doing these useless things. He pursed his lips tightly. Whether it's useless or not, I have to try to find out. Before I could say anything more, he turned around and went back to his own dormitory building. His back looked a bit thinner. He was surrounded by a gloomy aura. Unlike boys of his age who still had a bit of youthful spirit, Songpei and I were in the same major. Although Lu Zhili changed schools, he was still studying the same major as in his previous life. During the half-month of military training, Lu Zhili and Songpei were the 2 freshmen with equally high discussion rates. They were elected as the most handsome guys in their respective departments by the girls, and me, I had an even higher discussion rate than the 2 of them. Jinan, both of them are chasing you. Who will you choose? If I were you, I'd choose both. Songpei on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Lu Zhili on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And both of them can serve me on Sundays. Am I the only one who thinks it's not good to fish for 2 people at the same time? Yes, only you. The 2 guys haven't said anything, but you're talking so much nonsense. I hurriedly stopped the spread of a potential conflict. You seem to have misunderstood. Songpei is not chasing me. He only regards me as a friend. Bullshit. His liking for you couldn't be more obvious. Okay, last time I asked him if he liked Jinan, and he didn't deny it. I looked at the girl who spoke in a daze. The instructor's whistle interrupted my thoughts. Rest time is over. Assemble. I stood in the team, but I couldn't concentrate during the morning training. 17. Lu Zhili had a high EQ and his attentions were just right. My 3 roommates were quickly won over by him. On the last day of military training, on the way to the cafeteria at noon, the 3 of them took turns to speak well of him. We definitely didn't speak for him just because he gave us Tiffany. Nan, really, Lu Zhili is better. Choose him. That's right. He has the 3 qualities of being tall, rich, and handsome. Songpei just lacks the rich part. Right. My roommate's voice got lower and lower at the last few words. I thought that if Songpei hadn't been standing right in front of us, she could have listed 100 more advantages of Lu Zhili. Songpei half lowered his dim eyes. His calm expression, like still water, somehow made people sense a trace of loneliness. The fragile puppy didn't realize at all that he was so pitiful that it made people feel sorry for him. He still thought he was pretending well. I shook my head at my roommate regretfully. That's really unfortunate. Lu Zhili has never been within my options. Because I'm chasing Songpei, my 3 roommates turned into groundhogs. So embarrassed that they almost buried their heads in the ground. Okay, you should go with him quickly. I readily said goodbye. Bye. When you go to eat, don't starve your Tiffany either. Get out. I bounced up to Songpei. He stared at me intently, as if asking for an explanation for what I had just said. I looked back innocently. I forgot to tell you, I like you. May I ask how I can chase you? Songpei's lips were pursed so tightly that they turned white, and his emotions were clearly on the verge of losing control. I tilted my head and asked dejectedly, why don't you say anything? Is it because there are too many people who like you, and I'm the most ordinary one, not worthy of chasing you? As soon as I finished speaking, I was pulled into his arms. The arm that hugged me trembled slightly. The boy's voice was hoarse. Don't say that, Nan Nan. I'm the one who has never been worthy. Songpei had a repressed personality. If I didn't push him once, he wouldn't come out of his fake protective shell and show a trace of his true emotions. I quietly put my arms around his waist, rubbed against him in his arms, and said in a muffled voice, I say you're worthy, then you are. 18. After getting together with Songpei, he seemed to have developed skin hunger. At night, in a secluded corner of the campus, Songpei held me on his lap, his nose gently rubbing against the side of my neck. Dense kisses moved upward. And he took my earlobe in his mouth. I was worried that someone might pass by. I pushed his shoulder. Songpei, can't we go to a hotel? The arm that was holding me froze. Songpei looked up. The dim light made the surging emotions in his eyes faintly visible. I realized later that he had misunderstood and hurriedly explained, No, I'm just afraid that we'll be seen here. Going to a hotel isn't for you to do something else. Songpei vetoed it. He stroked the back of my ear and lifted my face to kiss me. I won't be able to control myself in a hotel. Don't be afraid, no one comes here. I clung to his shoulders, indulged in his kiss, and slowly closed my eyes. The air was depleted, my lips hurt from being sucked, and Songpei backed away a little. I half opened my eyes. I was stunned. Over Songpei's shoulder, I met Lu Zhili's unblinking eyes. Not long after, he lowered his eyes and left silently. I thought that after seeing this scene with his own eyes, he should give up completely, but the next day, he was the same as usual. He asked my roommate to bring me a small cake. What should I do? Nan, he's blocking me downstairs. He said you only like this brand of cake and asked me to make sure to bring it to you. I picked up the cake, ran out of the dormitory, and caught up with Lu Zhili, threw her back into his arms. If you pester me one more time, I will definitely call the police and accuse you of sexual harassment. He hooked the corner of his lip self-deprecatingly. Don't you like this bakery's cakes the most? He opened the box. The cakes were in a mess, and the cream was smeared on the box wall. They no longer looked like their original selves. Before, when you were angry with me, as long as I brought you this cake when I came back from the company, you would forgive me. He seemed to be talking to himself. Speaking with difficulty, why can't I coax you this time, Lu Zhili? I looked calmly at the gloomy boy in front of me. Is it interesting to always live in the past? He always tried to make me recall the memories of falling in love and getting married with him in my previous life. He thought this would make me soft-hearted, but I had already moved on. The memories still existed, but what I had forgotten was the feeling of liking him. 19. After that, Lu Zhili never looked for me again. Every day, he either went racing or flew around the world for fun, but after a certain day, he never appeared again. Someone from the Lu family came to handle his withdrawal from school. The playboy who had a good relationship with him revealed that Lu Zhili had an accident in an illegal racing in a foreign country. His lower body was completely paralyzed. There was no possibility of ever standing up again. After hearing this, I was only stunned for a second. Then I continued to date Songpei with peace of mind. However, a stable life always has small episodes from time to time. At the first club dinner, I was forced to drink a cross-arm drink with a senior. Nan, are you not giving me face, senior? He slapped the table in dissatisfaction and burped. I was neither servile nor overbearing. Sorry, senior, my boyfriend won't allow it. Drink a fucking drink. Why are you being so picky? I'm not trying to sleep with you. Who are you acting all high and mighty for? The atmosphere in the private room froze. The freshmen present all secretly glanced at me with different expressions. The club president quickly covered his mouth and apologized repeatedly. Sorry, Nan, he's drunk. Don't take it to heart. When he sobers up tomorrow, I'll ask him to apologize to you in person. The words of the several club presidents who were comforting me were mixed with warnings. Making this matter big would be bad for everyone. They asked me not to spread it around. But there were more than a dozen people in the private room at that time. There were always some people with loose lips. It still spread. Songpei heard about it from his roommate. That evening, in the cafeteria, Songpei and I were sitting face to face. Songpei listlessly picked at the food on his plate and didn't take a bite. Why didn't you tell me? I couldn't tell if he was angry, and I unconsciously twisted my fingers. That senior apologized to me later. And the club teacher also punished him to write an 800-word self-criticism. It's already been resolved. If I told you, I was afraid you'd be angry with me. He slightly curved the corner of his lip. After dinner, Songpei sent me back to the dormitory. He was very quiet all the way. I tugged at his sleeve. Don't be angry. Okay, I'll tell you everything in the future. Songpei lowered his head and gently kissed my side face. I'm not angry with you. Nan, you go back first. I'm going to an open class at the neighboring school with the instructor tonight. I didn't suspect anything. Not long after I returned to the dormitory, my roommate in the library sent me a message. She asked me to help her bring her pad. The road to the library was getting more and more secluded, so the slightest abnormal movement would be magnified countless times. A rustling sound came from behind the teaching building on my right. If I hadn't seen the familiar corner of a garment, I would probably have called the security office first. As I walked over quietly, I inappropriately recalled the disdainful look on Songpei's face when I said he couldn't beat Lu Zhili in senior year of high school, and that time when we climbed the mountain. Now that I think about it, even Lu Zhili couldn't carry me up the mountain without any effort. I stopped. Songpei had his back to me, and he was holding a golf club in his hand. The end of the club was stained with spots of blood. It should have come from the wound on the forehead of the boy who was curled up on the ground. This boy was the senior who had forced me to drink the cross-arm drink at that party. Songpei squatted in front of him and patted his face with the club, still in a gentle and polite tone. Senior, there won't be a next time, understand? Can you get rid of the problem of provoking other people's girlfriends? Yes, I'll take a detour when I see Jinan in the future. I sighed. Songpei, are you satisfied? If you are, it's time to go back with me. Two-faced puppy. The club slipped from his hand. Songpei didn't turn around for a long time. The senior saw me and ran away quickly, as if he had seen a ghost. I stepped forward and took Songpei's hand, speaking softly and gently. Don't keep things to yourself and think randomly. I'm not scared or angry. It took Songpei a while to hold my hand back. Why? I thought for a while. Because your starting point is loving me. Because he loved me. He hated the senior and vented my anger, but also because he loved me. So he held back when he took action, taking into account our future. After delivering the pad to my roommate, I pulled Songpei to a nearby bench and sat down. I wiped the blood splattered on his face with a wet wipe. But it's better not to take action in the future. When you become a very famous and powerful person in the future, these will all become your dark history. Songpei pinched my fingertips and smiled softly. Why are you always so sure that I'll be very powerful in the future? What if I don't achieve anything and just become an ordinary little staff member after graduation? The president of the student union on the stage shouted my name loudly. Then you'll be much more relaxed. You won't be so tired. Anyway, I think everything is fine. I yawned, feeling drowsy. In a daze, I scratched my cheek and mumbled my thoughts out loud. I have to save money to buy a very expensive insurance for my kidney. If it's dug out again, I should be able to get a lot of compensation. 20.